Well, hello, my tea stirrers. Today is part two of Is Black History Month the shortest month of the year? Is that enough for Black Americans? And what are we learning about our history? What are we learning? Is it enough of the year? Is that enough for Black Americans? And what are we learning? Is that enough? Are we learning enough? Are we learning like the before, the after? Are we sharing this Black History Month with our Latin sister and brothers? Of all the places, do you know all the places that when they took us off the island of Africa, better known as Ham, it was called Ham, Israel and Ham. You think about what I just said. They still connected. It's still in Africa. Just think about what I just said. When we fled out to West Africa and they grabbed us up, can you name all the different places that they dropped us off at? Shouldn't that be part of Black history? Is Black history just for the Black Americans, where we know that our Latino brothers are Black too? Their ancestors are Black too. Shouldn't we all be celebrating? Shouldn't we all be looking into our history? Because none of our history started on the land that we call ours. But in between time, we're going to look at a quick video because we'll get the show started right now of how they get us bourgeois people, not us, but the bourgeois people, how they get them to spend their money. So we're going to start this video off really quick. Hey, foot soldier, we're going to start this off. Then we're going to get into something else. But I want to get this video out the way so you can know how they play us to get us to spend our money. Let's start this, get this show on the road. And let's not forget, this is an open panel. Open panel. This is an open panel. Anytime somebody want to come up, I'm going to put the link in there now. Just in case, anytime somebody want to come up, they can come on up. This is our month, or this is a day. We ain't going to call it our month, but we're going to have more conversations like this. Plenty of more, because we're not going to let just 1 month define us. We ain't going to let you define us just by one little old month. Then we got to forget ourselves. So let's just start this with this first video. Let's go.
Hey everyone, welcome to Forward.
Well, move that over there. Why don't you? You got the level on that, Joe?
Hey, how's this video coming through?
Are the lights hot enough?
Don't forget to dolly it close. All right, be sure and stay clear of number 2 camera, and all set. Stand by.
$15 billion. That's a lot of money, isn't it? The surprising thing is that it's a fresh market, still full of opportunities. It grew up so fast got so big in a hurry that few of us realize its scope. Now, these days, nobody's likely to pass up chances to sell. And yet right here in our own front yard, there's a neglected market. There's money waiting to be spent. To get the story of this market, to be able to tell you the secret of selling the Negro, we did a lot of digging. We talked to leading businessmen, to customers, and to salesmen. We went to Washington, D.C. We set up cameras and other key points around the nation. And out of this all, there emerged a story, the story of a new market. Yes, this is the market we're talking about, the new Negro family. Their name is Wells or Wilson, Smith or Brown or Alexander or Breen. They live in Chicago, in Atlanta or New York, in Detroit, St. Louis, Los Angeles, any one of 1,000 cities and towns. All over the country, families such as this are enjoying new prosperity. They have new interests, new standards of living, a buying power they've never enjoyed before. There are good prospects for practically all types of goods and services. All too often, though, they're overlooked prospects. Why? Because of some good, valid reason? No. They're overlooked because of mistaken ideas, because of out-of-date ideas about how the Negro lives and how he buys. The truth of the matter is that the Negro lives pretty much the same as other folks. He buys pretty much the same way, too. But just the same, a lot of old doubts and opinions keep cropping up over and over again.
I don't like to do business with Negroes. They're drifters. You can't keep track of them.
Yes, although a lot of people think that way, the truth is that 1 out of every 3 Negro families living in cities today owns its own home. That figure comes directly from the United States Bureau of Census.
Maybe so, but Negroes are poor credit risks.
Not more of a credit risk than any other group. Actually, the Negro homebuyer meets his payments faithfully, often more faithfully than other race groups in the same economic level. That's the information we got from people who ought to know, the National Association of Real Estate Boards.
Well, maybe, but I've always heard that Negroes buy shoddy, poor quality merchandise.
No, it's just the other way around. According to leading researchers, in proportion to population and income, Negroes buy more quality products than any other comparable United States group. You see, there are a lot of confused notions about the Negro customer. But when you dig right down and find out about them, they just don't hold water. Negroes own homes.
We still do that today, trying to keep up with the Joneses. We just love to give them our money. We just love to give them our money. We love to give them our money.
Their payments faithfully. They buy good brands of merchandise. So why let a lot of old-fashioned ideas hurt profits? Take a look at the real facts. Here in Washington, D.C., the nation's capital, some amazing facts and figures about this new market have been uncovered. For a first-hand report, we would like to take you directly to the United States Department of Commerce to hear this story from the Secretary of Commerce himself. Here is the Honorable Sinclair Weeks, the Secretary of Commerce of the United States.
In the Department of Commerce, we are constantly alert to trends that mean a healthier national economy, better business for the nation as a whole. Recently, we have been interested in a rising young market, one that represents a huge potential for goods and services. I'm referring to the new Negro market. The tremendous buying power of this group is backed, of course, by an increased earning power. The average Negro family's income is at a record high. In fact, since 1939, it has increased more than the average income of all other Americans. Just take a look at a few figures. An official Department of Commerce report shows that at least 1/3 of the Negroes living in cities earn from $2,000 to $5,000 a year. Today, the average Negro wage earner brings home a paycheck 4 times larger than the one he collected in 1939. As a whole, the Negro market has a total income of about $15 billion every year. and after taxes, Negro families still have many billions of dollars to spend. Here is a buying power that cannot help but have a tremendous effect on our national economy and on business prosperity in general. When these dollars are spent for a wide range of goods, services, and employment, business everywhere is bound to feel the impact.
This new buying power has resulted in a class Negro market, a profitable, above-average income group of consumers. For example, the nation's largest newspaper and magazine research organization, Daniel Starch and staff, reports these significant figures. More than 51% of the readers of Ebony magazine have a record player in their homes. Almost 64% own a television set. And almost 78% enjoy the convenience of an electric refrigerator. It is also a fact, and this is from the magazine The Food Field Reporter, that Negroes spend almost $3 billion a year for food alone. Per capita, they buy more cosmetics, drugs, and toiletries than anyone else in the country. And their children are better educated.
Now remember, this study was done in the 1950s. So if we was buying $3 billion back then, they studied our money habits since we got some. And they made sure the money that they gave us, we're going to give right back to them. So they have studied our spending habits since this video, as you see, is from 1954. This video is from 1954. So can you imagine how much billion we are selling now, and we still don't have no economic freedom? We spend billions, and we still don't have no economical freedom in 2020. And this is 1954.
Educated too, because since 1930, enrollment in Negro colleges is up 2,500%. But really, to recognize the importance of this class Negro market, we must realize that something has been happening economically in our country. People are on the move. The population is shifting. The makeup of metropolitan populations today is different than it was just a few short years ago. To give you a better idea of what we mean, we set up several cameras, candid cameras, in a number of shopping locations. Take a look at these shoppers. Notice what a large proportion of them are Negroes. What's the reason? It's simply this. Negro families are moving into the cities where there are more job opportunities. Here they find occupations with more prestige and security, jobs that pay more money. As a result, Negro families today often make up the largest part of Central City consumer prospects. A shoe store in Chicago's Loop, for example, reports that more than 50% of its customers are Negroes. In another case, a drugstore located at a transfer point in a non-Negro neighborhood finds that its Negro customers total 25%. The trend is plain. The new Negro families today are moving into more populated areas, to the cities, where there are more stores, more buying opportunities. Since 1940, in San Francisco alone, the Negro market has increased by 89%. In Chicago, by 81%. Houston, Texas, 45%. Philadelphia, 50%. The impact of this new buying force is so tremendous that actually in 14 major United States markets, a product cannot be number one without Negro support.
You see that?
A product
You
must
see
have
that?
the backing of this big new buying power to be a leader in the field. What do you have to sell? Chewing gum or cars? Toothpaste or transportation? Whatever it is, here are millions of prospects. And
Black
these
people.
prospects are everywhere.
Look at that.
Negro customers can no longer be pigeonholed. They cannot be classified as prospects who trade only in certain stores, certain neighborhoods. Today,
Integration,
Negroes shop
guys.
downtown.
Integration.
They shop in supermarkets. They shop in small neighborhood stores. They'll buy from anyone who wants to sell to them. But we all know that before you can sell to customers, you've got to get to know them. You must understand something about them. What do the Negro customers buy? Why do they buy? How do you sell to them? Let's find out. Let's hear the opinion of men who have spent a lifetime studying the buying habits of customers the
Look at
world
that.
over.
Look how
Here
they
is what
study us.
sales psychologists have to say about selling to the Negro.
Why?
Well, listen to what this customer is thinking.
That last hat I bought just didn't hold up at all.
You see, for a long time, the Negro has been sold a lot of shoddy, second-class merchandise. So now he asks for name brands in order to make sure he gets his money's worth. Buying by brand, that's the first important Negro buying habit.
Yep.
Now for the second. The
2021.
Negro buys good quality merchandise. Symbols of quality and prestige are very important to the Negro customer. This woman, for example, is buying fine crystalware. But she is also buying the admiration and approval of her friends and relatives. Listen to her thoughts.
Isn't it beautiful? I can hardly wait to show it to Sally and Joe.
It's a well-known fact that many Negro customers are influenced by the opinions of others. What their friends may think of a certain item often decides whether or not the sale is made.
Mm-hmm.
So remember, the Negro buys quality merchandise. That's the second important point. And here's the third thing to remember when selling to a Negro customer. When he specifically asks for one thing, don't try to sell him something else. Don't try to switch him at the point of sale. If you do, he'll probably react something like this.
Doesn't he think I've got the money to pay for it?
Do we still do
There's a
that
reason for
today?
this reaction. Again, because he's had experience with cheap merchandise, the Negro resents being offered a substitute. He wants to be sold on quality, not price. The Negro buys by brand, he buys quality, and he doesn't like to be switched at point of sale. These are the keys to selling the Negro customer. Another point. The Negro family does things together, as a group. The family works as a unit. It lives as a unit, and it buys as a unit. When you sell to one member, you many times sell to all. It's also true that many places of entertainment are still closed to the Negro.
Now you got
So he spends more of his money for the things that are available to him, often for items that are considered luxuries. Another trait of the Negro market is the fact that it is a pre-sold market. We know that the Negro buys by brand, and he buys the brands that he knows something about. Where does the Negro buyer get this information? We know that Negro customers are turning more and more to the publications that are tailored specifically to their needs, and give them the news and the information that they want to read about. Many leading businessmen and companies already know this. That's why so many of them are taking this direct, sure route of reaching the Negro customer. The vice president of advertising of the Gruen Watch Company, for example, says this.
In many important cities throughout the United States, Negroes are important customers of the credit union. Therefore, it seemed that Ebony magazine would be a very important advertising medium for us. We would say,
So you see how they use us against us. Where did they put that stuff in? Ebony's magazine. And where did we do? Till we do the same thing in 2021. We just can't wait to give them our money. We can't wait to give them out. Remember, this was done. They already studied us since they brought us here. But every time something changes, like 1 minute we were slaves, next when we wasn't slaves, then we started going to school. So every time something changes, they study us again. They study us again. Just like we in 2021, they're still studying us again. So now we're going to get to, now with these two videos I'm going to show, then I'm going to show you something at the end. I mean, it's about 2021, but I'm going to show you something at the end. This video, these are very good videos, but I'm going to show you something at the end. Hold tight. We're going to do Black History Month. Well, we're going to see, I got something lined up for you guys, like each day. We're going to give Nature Nut, Chief, well, I might do something a little on him, but we're going to concentrate on us and real stuff for a little bit. Yeah, they glad we know how to remix ride. That's how they got us to get into their stores. They studied that. Not saying that don't buy anything good, but we were supposed to be supporting the mom and pop stores. But no, we want to be name brand. We want to wear what they wear. We want their names. And you wonder why we have no economic nothing. We've been taking that money instead of buying name brand stuff. We've been buying more stores and stuff like that. Let's check out this video. The conspiracy to destroy Black boys.
Why is there a conspiracy against them? And what exactly is the conspiracy? That's in volume 1. In volume 2, we look at the relationships between mothers and their sons that must be studied. We also must look at female teachers and Black male students that must also be studied. We must look at some case studies. In other words, many of us are doing a very good job developing Black boys to be men. What is it that some of us are doing that others are not doing? And then last but not least, a program called the Rites of Passage into Manhood. See, it used to be we knew when Black boys became men, but now many of us don't know when we're men. It's how much reefer we smoke, how much wine we drink, how many babies we make. Until Black men spell it out to Black boys what it means to be a man, this conspiracy will continue. But let's go back to volume 1, when did it start? And as we begin to look at that, I want to also share with you why we call it a conspiracy to destroy Black boys. You see, contrary to belief at birth, there are more Black boys born in the world than there are girls. It's close, but it's 1.03 Black boys born in the world to 1.0 Black girls. Hear me clearly. At birth, Black boys outnumber Black girls 1.03 to 1.0. A brief 18 years later, it is now 1.0 available, and that's the key word, available Black men to 1.8 available Black women. Almost 2 adult women for every 1 adult man. Now, the only question that should be going through your minds right now is what happened? We keep raising the wrong question. We keep asking, why do Black men hang on corners? Why do Black men lack direction? When you ask this question, you answer the question 18 to 30 years too late. It is not a conspiracy to destroy Black men. It's a conspiracy to destroy Black boys. If you destroy them as a boy, you'll never become a man. Not gonna look around the room and tell you know where I am. If they are not available to Black women, where are they? Call the road. In jail, there are 329,000 brothers in prison right now. 1 of every 4 brothers will go to prison. Where else? Or death. There's numerous ways that we die. There's homicide, suicide, drugs, war, high blood pressure, and the leading killer among Black men, lung cancer. Our love for cigarettes, especially cool. Smoke them all day long, die the exact same way. Cool. Where else? We have prison, death. What else to make us unavailable to black women? Yes, homosexuality. If you said earlier, 1 of every 9 men in this country are homosexual. Where else? Yes. Okay, so institutionalization, and there's not only in terms of hospitals, but also mental institutions, and of course, when they get released, many times being homeless. There's still one other large popular area. Limby?
They marry white women.
Okay, interracial marriages. Now I want to pause there for a moment, because you would think if anybody is going to marry outside the race, it would be black women. You got 2 black women for every 1 black man. But as Limby pointed out, it's exactly the opposite. There are 164,000 interracial marriages, of which 116,000 are brothers. That means 48,000 sisters. It's almost 2-to-1 ratio of black men to black women marrying outside the race. But remember, as you said earlier in the workshop, if the definition of beauty is light skin, long hair, and blue eyes, why stop with Renee, the light skin sister? Why not get you the real thing? There's some serious problems here. And then black men tell me, I can't find a black woman to understand me. You mean out of 20 million black women, you can't find one to understand you? You don't need a white woman, you need a psychiatrist. But that's another workshop on relationships.
You need a psychiatrist.
We got some very serious problems. But to tease this audience, black women are tired of being by themselves. And in an earlier issue of Essence magazine, the article said, guess who's coming to dinner now? Black women are tired of being by themselves. In other words, brothers, you can't have it both ways. You can't have 2 black women to choose from and still marry a white woman. You can't have it both ways. Black women are tired of being by themselves. Now, that's with regards to the stats, why we wrote the book, because we saw a shortage of black men. But what we want to begin to find out is, when did it start? You see, it's called the 4th grade syndrome. Studies show that black boys may be the best students in the country up until the 4th grade. So we wanted to find out what your son, a male student, was doing at the beginning of the 3rd grade, then at the end of the 7th grade, and then measure progress. Let me give you 3 examples. We had a little boy 5 years ago on an Alvin reading test score at the 98th percentile in the country. In other words, a walking genius. That means only 2% male, female, white, or black had a higher score than he at the beginning of the 3rd grade. At the end of 7th grade, the same boy now drops down to the 35th percentile. Engineer potential here, pimp or pusher now, score should have improved 5 years, instead they only improved 1.3. 2 more examples. We had a little boy at the 92nd percentile. He dropped down to the 24th percentile, and his score only improved 2.1. But let me give you the average example. We had a little boy at the 63rd percentile. He dropped down to the 4th percentile, and his score didn't improve a year, a month, a week, not even a day. There are 3 critical stages in black boys' development: infancy to 9, 9 to 13, and 13 to 18. You see, it's easy to see the negative behavior here when he's already dropped out, led by some street corner lacking direction. It's more difficult to see it around 9 years of age, when they begin to sit further in the back of the class, when they begin to ask less questions, when their ball becomes more important than their book, when they begin to cheat on their tests. We appeal to you to turn your sons and male students on early. Teach them how to read early. Teach them the beauty of being black and believing in God early. Many of us have waited, and we are waiting almost too late to develop black boys to be men. You know what I'm getting at. America spends $2,300 on Head Start. They spend $38,000 on prison. If Ray wanted to balance the budget, I can show you save about $36,000 per person. It's much easier to educate than it is to incarcerate. Now you raise the questions. How long do you stay at Head Start? Year? 2 years is the most? How long do you stay in prison? The rest of your life? Question number 1. Question number 2.
Remember, guys, this is the early 80s. Early 80s, but the information still sits today. So you got to ask yourself the question, what has changed besides technology? If I can pull old interviews from 1950, and everything, you'll sound like it is being talked about in 2021. What are we doing as a people? What are we doing as a people? This is in the 80s. We are not, this video is 33, 34 years old. And we already saw the other video from the 1950s. But we got so much to talk about. And as you see, Black folks, we got a habit of doing just that. Talking and educating. But we educating, but we're not making progress. No progress.
2, does Head Start work? A 19-year study documents that Head Start works, but in prison, 85% of the inmates to get released go right back in. But as Jesse Jackson said, we have 2 choices. We can either send me to Penn State or to State Penn. It's your choice. We have got to find ways to intervene. Now, we have a whole workshop just on the 4th grade syndrome. I now want to ask you, what are some of the reasons you feel to explain why Black students, especially Black boys, were doing so well K through 3, and now scores decline in the intermediate and upper grades? What explains it? Yes.
Style changes abruptly in 4th grade from what might have been more right brain activities in the primary grades into all of a sudden all left brain activity.
Okay, so change in learning style,
Which is
or methodology from the teacher, from a holistic learning style to a left brain. Okay, very good. Any others?
What it basically he's saying is when they was younger, they were using a right brain, which is artistic, left brain. Now everything is like logic. So they had to switch. That's what he said.
Yes.
I think that there's a lot of rejection on the part of the female teachers in the classroom.
And the rejection increases with the upper grade? Why do you think it increases?
Students, perhaps his natural makeup, hyperactivity and that sort of thing.
And then maybe increasing, what may be increasing because we're now expecting them to stay in school or stay in a chair even longer. Okay. Any others that contribute to this 4th grade syndrome? We have a change in learning style. We have the teacher's outlook on the student. What else? Yes.
Students become more culturally aware and differ significantly from the teacher often.
Okay, so the child's now become more aware of their culture and racial identity. Okay, very good. Any others? The major reason you have not given yet, and maybe that's why this problem is still with us, Terry. First name is Richard. I'm sorry, Richard.
Well, the peer group starts to form and become stronger about the peer group.
And that's unfortunate, Richard, that you said that, because as the age increases, peer pressure is on the increase, while parental involvement is on a decrease. I don't know who told parents when your child gets older, they need less of your time rather than more. When I speak to Head Start parents, 80% of them are there. Elementary school, 30%. High school, almost a joke. We have to work on that. That's another workshop too, on parenting all the way through, not just in those quote unquote tender years. But the major reason, it's not on the board, still looking for it. Yes, go ahead.
I think too that young boys, and particularly young Black boys, in the primary grades, they have many mother figures. And they have very few men figures, and particularly Black male figures. And I think it makes a big difference come grade 4.
I agree with you wholeheartedly. I think it's the major reason. And let me now get my first position. I sincerely believe that only men can make boys men. Now don't misquote. I didn't say that a single female parent or female teacher cannot rear or educate her child. But she need not do that by herself. But you call her father, her brother, an uncle, a male neighbor, a nephew, a coworker. There needs to be some men in our children's lives. I want to explain to you how a boy is going to grow up to be a man if he's never seen anything. In order to be anything, you must see it first. Remember the earlier workshop, and I'll go through this very quickly, from University of Michigan, we wanted to find out what the major influence on children. We said 1950, it was home, school, church, peer group, and television. And then we gave you 1980, home was still number 1, peer group in the number 2 position, television 3, school dropped down to number 4, church last on the list. Let's go back to my statement. My statement said that only men can make boys men. Now let's see what Black boys are going to find men. Let's first of all look at his home. 62% of all Black children live in a single-run household. It's a very good chance you will not find a man here. I'm going to hold off on the streets and drop down to television. Can you name me 5 positive adult Black men on television outside the news? And you can't name Cosby because the show just started. Name me 5. Outside the news. And you better not say George Jefferson. But it's not very few Black male role models on television. Now let's drop down to the schools. 83% of all elementary school teachers are women. 95% of all teachers are women. And when do men teach? After the critical 4th grade, or they're in the upper grade, or they're the PE teacher, the janitor, or the principal. Very few before the 4th grade, but black boys need them the most. And lastly, the church. Most young people, men don't go to church. And the reason is we lie to them. First of all, we made Jesus Christ white. The man surely was not white. We have a book called What Color Was Jesus to explain that. He had hair the texture of wool and feet the color of bronze. But secondly, the Lord's Prayer says on earth as it is in heaven. Young people and men want some action. They want some programs. If there's no programs in your church, they will see you later in heaven. As a result of not finding a man at home, few on television, few in school, and not wishing to attend church, the last place is the streets. And that's the problem. The streets do a very poor job making men. They do a better job making pimps, pushers, and a few basketball players. Their hero, Michael Jordan, has said there were 1 million brothers that won his job last year in the NBA. Of this million, only 400,000 will even make it to play high school ball. Of this 400,000, only 4,000 will make it to play college ball. Of this 4,000, only 35 will go to the coveted NBA. Of this 35, only 7 start. And the average life in the NBA is 4 years. You got 1 million brothers looking for 7 full-time jobs that last 4 years. This conspiracy is complex. It goes beyond the NBA, even schools are in it. What will be the first thing you see when you walk into a Cincinnati high school? A large trophy case. And that was even schools give more glory to their ball players than the scholars. That's in the earlier workshop. Where are pep rallies for the honor roll? In other words, even schools, I can understand the NBA, but even schools give more glory to their ball players than their scholars.
Remember, guys, this is an open panel. If you feel you want to come up and say anything, just click on that link. This is about us. If you feel you want to have something to say, even to say, yeah, that is right, that is fine with me. Come on up.
This conspiracy goes beyond the NBA, though. It goes beyond schools. Jesse Jackson is giving you the clue one more time. Is it not possible for a black man to be president? For a white woman to be president? For a black woman to be president? Is the club only reserved for European men? You didn't know that a white boy with a high school diploma makes more money than a white woman, black woman, or black man with a college degree? The motive of the conspiracy is clear. For the question of why is there a conspiracy, the answer is white male supremacy. In other words, white men are not afraid of women, black or white, because women have no power anywhere in this world. The threat to European men will come not from women, it will come from other men. And the best way to destroy black men is to destroy them as a board. The motive is white male supremacy. But before you get comfortable blaming somebody else, let me make sure we're clear. On a conspiracy, there will always be two. You see, you have the active conspirators and you have the passive conspirator. See, it's like child abuse. There were always two. You have the father who does the beating, active, but you have the mother who turns her back, passive. Isn't apathy, indifference, low expectations, buying high goods in the black community? Isn't that also part of a conspiracy? You have the active and you have the passive. In a conspiracy, there will always be two. Let me now give you the starting line. We'll start with the active ones first and then move to the passive. Leading off, batting in the #1 position, representing this country, institutional racism. Batting first is the president. He bats in the #1 position. Batting second, representing the Trilateral Commission, the Fortune 500, big business. David Rockefeller bats #2. Batting third, representing the military complex. You didn't know, black people, 12% of the population, 1/3 of the military, and died 41% of the time in the Vietnam War. The chief of staff. Bats #3. Batting fourth, and I don't mean Marlon Brando. I mean the real godfather. Drugs running rampant in the black community. Please don't deceive yourself. If America is the #1 power in the world, they could police their borders to stop the drug traffic. These men and what they represent intentionally want to make sure the black boys never grow up to be men. But remember, they got some help from some of us who really like black boys, who may even have black boys at home, just didn't know any better. And so we bat #5 through 9. Batting fifth, not all, some mothers who raise their daughters and love their sons. Batting sixth, some female teachers who don't understand that boys have different learning styles than girls. Batting 7, representing the media in this country, shows like Gary Coleman and Webster. Shows that make me sick. Shows that illustrate us to the middle. In other words, we need a white father for Gary Coleman and for Webster. It's all part of the media image. It goes all the way back to Tarzan, all the way back to Superman, all the way back to Rambo, to Rocky, all part of white male fantasy trying to control the world. It's all part of a scheme. Make sure you heard me. It's consistent with Superman, Tarzan, Santa Claus, the white father, all part of that scheme. Batting 8, the macho image, Mr. T, and we'll look at today someone like Prince or Magic Johnson or Isaiah Thomas. In other words, no need to study, just be macho, just be a superstar. In other words, Mr. T, Prince for entertainment, Isaiah Thomas, the Magic for sports. And then last but not least, a black woman by the name of Kathy, who do anything for a man, and a black man by the name of Willie, who does not feel good about himself. You see your faces right now. Who's Kathy? You have to stay to the end to find out who's who. The starting lineup: Reagan, Rockwell. You don't know who Willie is, but we got a new theory for you now. We used to end with Donna and Kathy, but now we're going to give you the Eddie Willie theory. We have a new one. So we have we have Ronald Reagan, David Rockefeller, Caspar Weinberger, the Godfather, some of them. I didn't say all, some. Some mothers, some female teachers, the media image, macho in sports, and Kathy and Willie. These people and what they represent, intentionally or subconsciously, want to make sure that black boys never grew up to be men. Let's now look at the active ones first. I want to make sure we start in the right place. The conspiracy did not start with black mothers. It started somewhere else. We must start where it began. It began with active conspirators. I want to now look at them first. In looking at the active conspirators, I want to make sure we understand that these kind of terms don't make sense. We are not a minority. In other words, there are 4.5 billion people living in the world. Of this number, 80% of the world's population has color. That means only 20% of the world's population lacks color. Now you tell me who's a minority. See, it's called the African triangle. It goes all the way back. We're not a minority. We're only a minority. We allow ourselves to be divided up from our brothers and sisters in Nigeria, in Jamaica, in the United States. Look at this African triangle. After all these years, other than the way we're dressed, you can't tell who's who. There are 1 billion people living in China alone, and we are second. 500 living in Africa, 160 living in Central and South America, 40 million living here in the United States. We are not a minority. Now, the question is, how can so small control so much? That's why I respect them so much. Think about it. You have a game. You have one game with 80 people, another game with 20, and the 20 going to win? The only way they can do that is by controlling the mind. Because whoever controls the mind also controls the body. Let's look at this. Let's break this down in half. What you come up with is 10% European women and 10% European men. See, it's not even 20. It's really 10% European men. In other words, the Trilateral Commission, they want to control more than just their countries. They want to control the world. And they have pulled us on. Now, there's a tremendous amount of pressure when you're this small trying to control so much. Now, maybe you can't understand it. It's been a long time. It goes back to Egypt for us, having that much power. But can you imagine that small number trying to control the world? A tremendous amount of pressure is on that small group with that much power. In other words, the first thing that men are taught to do is not to cry. According from their own Goldberg, the book is called The Hazards of Being a Male. The tremendous pressure when you're so small trying to control so much. The first thing that men are taught to do is not to cry. Think about it. Ever seen Ronald Reagan cry? John Wayne cry? They died with their boots on. They died in their saddles. They died like men. Now, any psychologist will tell you that crying may avoid suicide later. But as a result of European men not crying, European men commit suicide more than anybody else. Black men who want so much to be like European men are very close second. European women are third, and the most sane person in America. She don't make no money, but stay close to God and her children and cry. Black women commit suicide less than anybody else. Give yourself a hand clap. In other words, if you think that money is the source of all your happiness, they make more money than anybody else. But they obviously are not happy. In other words, money may not be the key. Putting God and your children first may be the key. Poorest people in America commit the less amount of suicide. First thing men are taught to do is not to cry. Second thing men are taught to do is to ignore pain. Got an hypertension? Shake it off. Cancer? Shake that off too. Monday Night Football. Walter Payton goes off the field with a busted knee. Comes back on a half hour later, the Holocaust sells us. Oh, what a man. The man was crazy to go back on the field. But see, men are taught to be macho, to ignore pain. Now women, when women's finger bleeds to the doctor's office, women take care of themselves, but not men. You know, it's gotten so bad, the studies have now documented that when men are married, they live longer. That's an insult to my intelligence. It means that I cannot live long by myself. I gotta leave my mama and go to my wife. Because if I don't, I'm probably gonna smoke cigarettes, drink liquor, and eat a lot of pork on the streets. But with women, annual checkup, that's what they encourage men to do. Drink a regular amount of water and eat a salad on a regular basis. What am I getting at? European women say they're so oppressed. European women live to 77 years of age. Black women live to 75 years of age. European men die at 69 years of age, and black men die at 64.8. Albert, you and I die before the first Social Security check. That law needs to be changed. So, Lord, folks, we are living long to collect on the payment. This is sad. I'm gonna die 10 years before my wife. This is not theoretical. It's not just my son here. It's my life here and your life. Can I not live as long as my wife? 10 years before her? Men are first of all taught not to cry. Secondly, they're taught to ignore pain. And then last but not least, they're taught to bring home the bacon. What I say as a vegetarian, to bring home the fruit and the vegetables. In other words, to bring home the money. Ronald Reagan knows this. Rockefeller knows this. That the best way to destroy black men is to deny them the opportunity to work. You know what I'm getting at, because Bill Boyd didn't tell you that was Vanishing Black Family documentary. 1 of every 3 marriages in this country, black or white, ends in a divorce in 18 months. Now, you see, it used to be if you got divorced, something was wrong with you. But when you have a staff this time, something must be going on in our society. I now want to explain what that is. When America believed in agriculture, America believed in extended family. When America believed in the factory, industrialism, America believed in the nuclear family. But now that America believes in the computer, now America believes in a single parent family. Make sure you see my analysis. When the economy changed, the family structure changed. There was more love in these relationships. There was some money involved here. Our grandparents worked the fields together, had economic reason to stay together, and so they did. In the factory, man works in the factory, woman takes care of children. Economic reason again to stay together. But in this new economy, where you now have women working just as much, if not more, than men, you now hear women telling men, I don't need you, got my own job. Do what I want to do when I want to do. And we are now doing it very well and by ourselves. You know the #1 song in America a couple of years ago, ain't nothing going on but the rent. If you want to be with me, you got to have a J-O-B. It's all about money. All about money. When the economy changed, the family structure changed. And so now we have a lot of people making plenty of money and low. They place money before family. You see, black men want to do what white men do. Buy their family a house in the suburbs, 2 cars, and once a year go down to Orlando for Disney World vacation. And when black men can't do that, they don't feel they're worthy enough to stay. Now you see, the problem is there are 2 responses black women can give to black men when they're out of work. Now, the first response some women say is, well, if you ain't working, you got to go. If you ain't working, you got to go. That's the mistake. Because black men don't hire nor fire, nor control the means of production. Now, before black men say, that's right, brother, you tell them. Please, brothers, quit assuming that black women take our jobs away. Because black women also do not hire nor fire. We are being played off against each other for some crumbs. We recommend the second response. For black women to say to them, well, if you ain't working, can you at least go back to school? Can you at least learn a skill? Or at least make dinner or wash dishes while I'm gone? But the problem is there are very few black men that look to black women for definition of manhood. Black men, as I said earlier, want to do what white men do. And that means be the breadwinner. What I'm getting at is, we're going to have to redefine what it means to be a man. Because if being a man means being a provider, with 25% of black men out of work, that's a suicidal definition. You see, if I lose my job tomorrow, I'm still a man. As long as I'm responsible, treat my wife correctly, raise my children, that's responsibility. I'm not going to allow my employer to reduce my masculinity. I need to define what being a man is. And I think it's a perfect balance between the mental, the spiritual, and the physical. not being a breadwinner, but a balance in the mental, physical, and the spiritual. Isn't it interesting? You have two black men. Both lose their jobs. One black man resorts to crime, leaves his home. He's been reduced by the society. The other black man sells newspapers, sells peanuts, does whatever he can to take care of his family. Same economic situation, but a different set of values. We have to work on that. A new definition can resolve this problem. I'm not belittling money. You have to have money living in America, but that's not the criteria for man. Boys make babies, men take care of them. That's the definition. One more comment here. I mentioned earlier in our past workshop on the peer group. Let me share with you here this dichotomy where you have the mental over here and you have the physical over here. You see, a real problem is our boys have a difficult time finding the balance in the middle. I mentioned earlier homosexuality, and the figure is 1 of every 9 men in this country are homosexuals. It's going to increase. And the reason is because we've been so skilled to the physical, being macho. So when our boys want to be on the roll, they're labeled sisters. Want to be involved in the fine arts, labeled sisters. Want to be open, honest, communicative, labeled sisters.
Boy, did it. Yeah, I know I have to stop the video and do commentary. I know I have to stop the video. We got to talk about it. Remember, hit that invite. Come on the link. Come on up. Shove on up here. Let me know how you're feeling about this video. But I'll carry on. But you know I have to stop it and say something.
When you label something long enough, you begin to act that way. So you have the homosexuals over here, and you have the athletes, the machos over here. Tremendous dichotomy between these two. We have got to find some men that can teach black boys and Hispanic boys the balance between the physical and the mental. There's simply too much pressure over here. It's hard to find a balance, and women can't teach this. Only a man can do this. We need more black men who can do both of these areas. Physically balanced and mentally balanced. And spiritual in the middle. Comments, questions about what is a man? We've been looking at male behavior. Any comments or questions? Yes, Gwen?
Explain what you meant by saying women raise their daughters.
We're coming there, Gwen. Matter of fact, I think it's probably the next point. Matter of fact, it is. Praise the Lord. Let's go to the next point. See, we were looking at the active conspirators, and we were looking at what the effect that causes on us in terms of male behavior. And we may not be able to control or to change Reagan, Rockefeller, Weinberger, but your question we can change. We can look at some mothers, and I said some, not all. The rumor is that some mothers raise their daughters and love their sons. My boy always loved his mama. 40 years of age, still at home with you. That needs to stop. Your boy is not yours. He is a future husband, a future father, and needs to be raised that way. Now, what do I mean by raised? Teach your son how to cook, to make up his own bed, to clean up his own bathtub because you raised your daughter. On the honor roll, every market there. Go to church with you every Sunday, and she can cook, sew, iron, and clean. All then we have your son. Ain't never seen an honor roll. He plays basketball all evening long. Never goes to church and can't boil a hot dog. The rumor is we have some, not all, raising their daughters and loving their sons. Now I know the historical reason. The historical reason is our society always try to destroy black men. The lynchings. So black mothers always want to always protect their sons. What's the reason today? I know the KKK is on the rise, but what's the reason today? Is it because your own black man didn't stay? You now replace your man with your son? Your son is not yours. He's a future husband, a future father, and needs to be raised that way. Quit telling these 9-year-old boys they're the man of the house. Ain't no 9-year-old boy ready to be no man of the house. But because you told him that, he now begins to wonder. When you then bring over your man for the evening, Mom, I thought I was the man of the house. Why are you bringing him over? You can't have it both ways. If he's going to be the man of the house, quit bringing your boyfriend over on Saturday nights. You know what's sad, though? These brothers think what they can do with their mamas, they can do with their teacher, their coach, and everybody else. In other words, living at home with you in a $100 pair of gym shoes, $80 pair of a Gucci handbag. In other words, these boys are masters how to manipulate their mamas. And they think what they can do with you, they can do with everybody else. Only to find out What you let them get away with.
Exactly. Exactly.
In other words,
say that
90% of
that
all teenage
again.
pregnancy programs counsel the women. We have teenage pregnancy running
You can
rampant.
say that
But as far as the last time I looked, it took 2 to make a baby. But 90% of the programs let the brothers off the hook. The real question is, who is going to teach black boys to be responsible? And you don't start when he makes a baby. In other words, the real question is, who's going to teach black boys to be responsible for his personal hygiene, for his clothes, for his chores, for his room, for his siblings, for his allowance, for his studies, for his toys, for his schedule, and then his sex life. You don't start responsibility at 16, it starts very early. For example, when I was growing up, my father opened a mutual fund account for me. And every year my brother explained to me, this is how much money you have in your account. But if you make a baby, all your money is going to take care of your child. Should it be any different? If I enjoy making it, should I also take care of it? So my oldest son was 15. I told him I've been doing the same thing with him, the 9-year-old and the 15-year-old. So he told me last year, he said, Daddy, this money looks so good to me. I just decided I'm not ever making me a baby. I'm keeping all my money to myself. But the point is, the boy understands responsibility. He understands if I make a baby, you will take care of it. There are mothers who know their son impregnated some girl in the same block, and they say, well, you boys will be boys.
Yep.
They will be whatever you let them be. I want to pause there. Explain this. Why are some mothers raising their daughters and loving their sons? Did you grow up in a household where you did more work if you're the sister than your brothers did? Why is that? And you know what else I believe? I believe the child rearing has a lot to determine in marriage. In other words, marrying a mama's boy is a very critical mistake. Because they can always go back to their mamas. Son, your room is just the way it always was. Got your favorite kind of cake whenever you want to get there. It is terrible marrying a mama's boy. Comments. It's my water break. Give me some feedback on mothers with their sons. What do you think of my announcement?
It's devastating. It's on target.
Any other concerns about mothers and their sons?
The boys will be boys is real bad.
Right.
That's exactly where you keep them as boys.
Right.
Where you teach them to be responsible, they were supposed to be men. Well, more apt to be anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of mothers.
You know, the shortage of men in church, that can be corrected by taking our sons to church. The sons can stay home, it's option for them, but not the daughters. In terms of playing outside, daughters in at a certain hour, the sons all night long, double standards. Make the daughter stay, but not the son. See, my point is, if black women, coming right to you, if black women know what problems they have with their own black man, why don't they correct it with your son? See, if you know what the problems are with black men, your little son, that's somebody else's husband. All what you know needs to be done, put that into your son. Ron, how effectual if you really love your sisters. If you really love your sisters, correct the problem with your son. Yes, sir.
Because the mother loves the child so much, and it hurts the mother to whip the child and see the child hurt, so the child will continue to rule.
But that's interesting. They love their daughters too, but they whip their daughters.
The phenomenon is that the mothers are also spoiling some daughters.
True. You don't spoil some daughters. We don't have enough of these men there to do it. Fathers. That's my day. In other words, it's very interesting. See, when the father's there, see, it's something about a black man or father seeing this male, his same size, sitting on his sofa, eating up all the food. Boy, you gotta go. See, his daughter can stay there as long as she wants. But see, the mother knows the daughter. And so the mothers, you gotta go too. See, mothers make the daughters go, and fathers make the sons go. But when the father's not there, there's nobody to make the son go. Okay. Yes, one more, then we gotta go on. Yes, ma'am.
I think it has something to do with the norms that are set in the system too. And we try to emulate those as black people. Saying, for example, I was brought up on a farm and everybody worked together. But then in society now says the male has a role, the girl has a role. So the parents try to perpetuate that.
Correct. What's sad about that is you can't fault the black man who you married not wanting to wash dishes. He wasn't forced to wash dishes at home. So you can't fault him when he marries you.
Yeah.
You have to teach him early. Teach him early.
Yeah.
Next issue. Female teachers. We're also
And
very
this is
concerned
the
about
main
female
thing.
teachers. Remember the exact percentage is 83% in the elementary grades. The number of black children in public
Now this the good part, guys. This is the good part. And after he finishes, I'm gonna go to something else. But this is very informational. And this is something that I've been seeing this a while ago. I'm just digging up in my old archives, pulling out these videos. But this is something that I've always tried to tell teachers all the time, especially when it comes down to my son, but they just don't seem to get it. But this part is so true. And this is my fight. This is my fight. This is my fight. Right here, this man is on the money. He's on the money. So listen carefully. This is how they do our sons or male children.
schools, 17%. But black children are 41% of all the special ed children. Now 17 doesn't equal 41. LD, learning disabled, EMR, educable mentally retarded, BD, behavior disorder. It gets worse. If a black child is going to be labeled special ed, 85% of the time it's going to be a black boy. Why is it not 50-50 black boy, black girl? Well, the reason may not be with just black children, Bill Warriors and Patrick Monahan. It may be a period of time. It may be that female teachers may not know that boys are different than girls. You all didn't know that, didn't you? That boys are different than girls. I only want the women to answer. The men know they're different. I want to now hear the women to share with us what are some of the differences between boys.
I just want to put a disclaimer out there that now that we're in 2021, the male teachers are not like the old school male teachers. That's the only thing that have changed. They're not really learning anything from the male teachers of today because of all the rules and regulations and everything. And a lot of these male teachers are scared of the students. But this is very, very crucial. Please listen to this part.
And girls in the classroom. Because only when you know what the differences are can you then change the methodology to meet the needs of their learning styles. Yes. Okay, so boys more active. What else? More physical. Okay, more aggressive. What else? Come on now, you don't have to go ahead and explain what they do.
I think.
Go ahead.
I think the boys are more egotistical.
Okay, so large ego.
Large ego, and you
Okay,
have to
got a
figure
good
out.
group. Any others?
They're not quite as willing to please either as little girls.
Okay, so let's cooperative. And we just want to add a few more because of time. 3 and 4, we find the boys are more aggressive, are more athletically inclined, have a shorter attention span, a slower maturation rate. As you said, are less cooperative, are larger than the girls, influenced more by their peer group, more advanced gross motor than fine motor, not as neat as girls, are louder than girls, like wearing hats on their heads, have a different walk, have a larger ego, and last but not least, play the dozens more than girls. Do you know how many teachers, especially white teachers, white female teachers, don't know what the dozens are, don't know what signifying is? Now remember, we live in a world controlled by men. Males want to find out who's the best, or as they say, who's the baddest. Now remember, in school, the rule is you can't fight, but they still want to find out who's the best. They created a new game called dozens, signifying. It is a verbal word game of the most prized person in the black community. Now, who is the most prized person in the black community? Your mama. Talk about your mama right now. I saw your mama on the railroad track, looked at her and said, ooh, get back. It's a verbal word game. Now, the game is designed, it's a verbal word game of the most prized person, your mama. Now, if you break down and start fighting, you get kicked out of school, so I automatically win. If you break down and start crying, again, I automatically win. Now, before I go on, do you know how many black boys were suspended or placed in special areas that are playing dozens? Do you know how many teachers don't understand those same 2 black boys who were playing the dozens, really getting down because his mamas were the best of friends 2 seconds later? They didn't understand the culture. Now, don't misquote. I'm not condoning the dozens nor black English, but they both exist. Exactly. If you want to move a child from one to the other, it may not be what you say. It may be how you say it. In other words, black English. First day of school, 5-year-old girl walked into your classroom, speaking what she heard, Black English. When you condemn the language, you've done more than condemn the language. You're now destroying the child's self-esteem. The language is legitimate, has different rules to it. It exists, legitimate rules to it. And if you want to move a child from Black English to standardized English, you don't condemn them. You make them feel good where he is. If you weren't on average, there's some skills to playing the dozens. I'm a former teacher, and I have some very good dozen players. There's some skills to playing the dozens. First of all, you have to have an expanding vocabulary. You have to have the ability to make words rhyme. You have to have quick thinking skills. You have to be comfortable public speaking. And I knew that. So I used to tell Willie, my best student, Willie, if you were that good playing the dozens, making words rhyme, vocabulary on the light, I want you to be the MC at all my programs. I want you in my drama department or my spelling bee team. In other words, I stroked him. I made him feel good where he was. And then he was willing to give me those skills in my classroom.
He is absolutely correct, but that's for boys and girls. Y'all know I deal with, no offense, but I found that male teachers to be too in touch. I said that, Roxy, and you came in a little bit late. I said, that's the only difference. Hey, lovely flowers, how you doing? Now, that's what I said before. I said, that's the only difference is in 2021, it's not the same male teachers as we had back then. But that part he said is correct. A lot of these teachers do not understand our Black kids. Now, you know, I work with the youth. I had over 900 kids come through me. I had to learn their lingo. I had to learn their personalities to take what people thought was negative and make it a positive. I had one boy that you just couldn't beat him in an argument at all. Couldn't beat him in an argument. He had more mouth than a little bit. So one day I pulled him to the side. I said, oh, why don't you try law school? You're very good. So he says, oh, you joking, you joking. Nobody's never said that to me before. See, key word, nobody never said that to me before. I said, if I didn't mean it, I wouldn't have said it. I said, boy, you got a mouth on you and you never lose an argument and you always got to clap back. I said, you should really go with, and I do that to a lot of my kids. I had one girl, she was drawing. The next thing you know, I had her write a whole entire play. I had her write a whole entire play. And I still got that book today where she colored it. She made her own characters. She was a little bit on the dark side, but I made her embrace it. See, people do not understand. And then there's another video, which is also after this little part, I'm going to skip into another video. I'm going to skip into another video where we're going to get this ghetto talk out of our minds and stop saying this ghetto talk. This is the talk that we have always, or this is the speech that we always talk. We talked what we learned from home. How much did we, that's where all these slangs came from, even till today, but that's what we spoke. So when we get into school with other people, now we kind of sit in the back of the classroom because the speech and the language is different. So now we have to learn how to speak the Americanized way. We're going to let this man finish, but that's an excellent, excellent point. But he got another good point. Let's finish listening to his good points.
But the real issue is, do we let these boys know we respect their culture? Because if you condemn it, they will fight you every step of the way. And you know what else they will do? They will also fight you in what we call the showdown. The showdown between Black boys and female teachers. You see, Black boys don't know when they're men. And Black men have not made it clear to them when they become men. So they think taking a female teacher one-on-one is going to make them a man, especially around fourth grade. From fourth grade on, they want to find out who's in charge of the class. It's called a showdown. There are numerous options in the showdown between a Black male and a white and a female teacher. Showdown number one. She said, sit down. Very unassertive. Well, Willie may sit down, but it may be late on in the afternoon. Willie wins showdown number one. Showdown number two. She responds to Willie some of the time, but not all the time. She's inconsistent. Well, I believe Willie wins each one of those she does not respond to. Showdown number three. She said, I'm going to suspend you or place you in special ed. We may lose to the assistant principal or special ed placement, but he did not do what she said. He wins showdown number three. Yep. Showdown number four. She says very assertively, sit down now. You know how the good ones do it? They look at you. Strong eye contact. They look you back in line. And she wins showdown number four. Showdown number five. She responds to Willie each and every time. She's consistent. And she's winning each one of those showdowns. Then the last one, a friend of mine in Chicago told me she had a boy who thought he was so bad, he was not going to stand up. He was going to run the class sitting down. He's going to make her nervous. He's going to look at her and smile at her. So every time Audrey looked at him, he looked back and smiled. But then Audrey looked back with the same strength and smiled. This went on all day long. Willie looked and smiled. Audrey looked back and smiled. At the end of class, so many words, Willie came to Audrey and said, okay, I understand that you are in charge of this class. But the reason is she's done three things well. She first of all loves him, and he knows that. She respects him, and he knows that. And she also respects his culture, and he knows that. Because of that, there is no showdown, because he knows that she is in charge of the class. What I'm getting at to return back to is, if you know that boys have a shorter attention span, what should that do to your lesson? Make it shorter or make it more interesting? If you understand that boys are more advanced gross motor than fine motor, what should you allow more in your classroom? More hands-on learning activities. In other words, my point is, if you understand that boys have different learning styles, rather than taking them out of your class and putting them in special ed, why don't you alter your learning style, your methodology? You know what I'm saying? Most principals know that 5% of their teachers make over 30% of the referrals. If that's the case, why remove the child? Why don't you remove the teacher?
Hello.
How is the child doing so well in third grade with a good teacher, and now labeled EMR in fourth grade? It may not be the child. It may be the teacher.
Yep. No,
hyperactivity, that's a value judgment. If you know what hyper is, God must have told you what normal is. Hyper is a value judgment. It may not be that blind boys are hyperactive. It may be the lesson plan is simply too slow. Think about that the next time you want to place a child in special ed. Some other issues. I want to wrap up with regards to what is the conspiracy to destroy black boys. I believe the conspiracy is made up of white male supremacy, institutional racism, lack of black male role models, the male socialization process, parental apathy and double standards, low teacher expectations, a female designed classroom, a distorted media, and an influential peer group. In terms of the question of what is the conspiracy, I know you can't take all those down the way I gave them to you, so please read the book. I won't repeat them again, but those are the major factors that make up what is the conspiracy to destroy black boys. Male supremacy.
Okay, we're gonna keep this going. We're gonna keep this going. Now remember, he spoke upon the speech of the black man, but we're gonna remember it's the black man and the black woman. So we're gonna say the black child. The black child. We have different dialects. We have different dialects. So we're going to listen to just a little bit of this. Just a little bit of this. Let's see.
You've been tossing and turning all night long. I ain't getting no sleep at all.
You having them oats again?
Eat your breakfast and shut up.
And this is how we speak in the house. This is what our children know.
Brush your teeth, and I mean good. Don't slam that door.
This is
You
how
come
we
straight
speak
on home
in
now.
general.
And don't be coming in here with no jive off the wall stuff.
Ah, you a story, baby. You know I come straight on home.
Morning, Mr. Harris.
Morning, Mr. Washington.
How you go today?
So. That sky's looking good out there today, Will.
Yeah, I think we're gonna get a little sun, all right.
It had been several years since I had been in a barber shop back home. As I sat there, I wondered whether the conversation would have been as rich and lively had I been white. It wouldn't have been, of course. I was accepted. And it was comfortable to be involved again with the language of my culture. I must admit, some of the conversation was going so fast I had trouble catching it. Having been away so long, I was getting out of touch.
Man, it's really been nice meeting you again.
Yeah, like old times. Hey, I think I'll go poke around the neighborhood before going out to the airport. I'll see you next time, though.
Yep, don't you stay away so long.
Yeah, man.
See you.
Bye.
The old neighborhood hadn't changed much. What a lousy, miserable place. I walked around some old garbage and got the almost forgotten whiff of what it was like. The fact that it hadn't really changed was depressing. But as a kid, it was home, and somehow the freedom of the childhood makes up for a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
I had no trouble recognizing the old school, and it sounded pretty much the same.
Tell me the name of your sweetheart. A, B, C, D.
In fact, we talk a lot, especially to one another. It's a recognized fact that black people have a very strong oral tradition. But many white Americans, as well as some blacks, attach a stigma to the black way of talking, rather than considering it as a rich and patterned dialect of English with its own well-established structure. Refusal to accept this as a legitimate mode of expression has long been the practice of many educational systems. The English teacher following this practice becomes the dedicated missionary of middle-class values. His vehicle is the language, and the language means standard English. There is no disagreement that fluency in standard English is necessary for formal communications, but the black child from the ghetto simply isn't learning it. Actually, the teacher is short-circuiting his own goals by rejecting the kid, his culture, and his language.
Exactly.
Read the question. Helene?
What does the master novel look like?
Okay.
The ghetto child gets to school speaking the language of the ghetto. He has trouble understanding the teacher because the teacher's not speaking the kind of language he uses, or at least the language he's learning at home, where communication is easy.
Charles, how can you keep poking me with them books?
Young man, get your hands off that pot. You gonna burn yourself. Your mouth about to make me lose my mind.
I ain't need nothing else to.
Up in here?
Go on now.
I'm gonna beat you down the hall. Oh, no, you ain't.
Does anyone know the answer to that question? Debbie?
I don't know.
Billy?
I don't know.
Jean?
Generally, by the time ghetto children reach the 3rd grade, they turn off and could care less about school.
Again, should we change the student or change the teacher? That's my major problem that I'm having. These teachers are not being taught, especially when you come into a black community. They're not being taught how to teach black children. And then our black kids end up the ones with the label. Like, I'm like, what did you go to college for? What did you go to psychology for? A lot of them teachers don't live in your neighborhood. So they all speak a whole different way, to the point that we have been called ghetto. No, we're not ghetto. We just comprehend words differently. Our words are said differently than your words. Now, can we bring it together? It's not my fault that you don't understand me and I don't understand you. And teachers are not taking the time to teach. They also are not, they're not just as educated as you thought they were, because they didn't take the time to learn their craft. They learned textbook, but they didn't learn their craft. It takes a special teacher to learn the craft. It takes a special teacher to learn the craft, especially where they're going to be teaching at and how to reach these kids. You do not make them come in there feeling dumb. That's why a lot of these kids sit to the back. They're not dumb. And then to not be bothered with the kids, they put them in special ed. That's the best trick of the book. Let's throw them in special ed. We don't want to bother with them. And then they get to graduate and get out our face. But if we can't put them in special ed, we're going to pay them kids no mind, and they're going to age out. And then after they age out, they're going to turn to the streets, but we don't care. That's not our problem. Where you're supposed to be the teacher and teacher's supposed to teach. I just wanted to piggyback. This video was just a piggyback off of what their previous video was saying.
And as they grow older, they know full well their speech is different.
That Laverne, she's something else. Yeah, she like a Blenheim Willie, but you don't never say nothing to her. She act like she be scared of him or something. But I wonder why she still go around telling everybody he her boyfriend then.
Though their speech might be different, it works. It's their thing and their identity label. Those who have the gumption to stick with school travel in a world of teachers, both black and white, whom they don't understand and who don't understand them. Traditional education seems only to systematically perpetuate their cultural plight.
Good morning, Joseph. You all set for graduation day?
Yeah, it was me.
Hello, Queen. Hello.
Ooh, you're kidding. I'm on?
Yes, you are, love.
Oh, my goodness.
Shalom.
Tony, I love you. Shalom.
How much have you seen already?
Well, I came in a little bit late, but I just saw the video that you played about the study. Yeah, the study of us and our buying power, where we spend, why and how we spend, and the fact, bottom line is, whatever we get goes back to them. I mean, that's the bottom line.
Amen. Blessings, blessings, blessings. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, baby girl.
I'm good. So how do you feel about what you see? I mean, a lot of stuff we know already, but if we're going to talk about Black history, let's talk about Black history.
Yes.
Not just what they want us to know. So how did you feel about the takedown of the Black boys?
Repeat that, honey. How did I feel about what?
The second video about how they're trying to destroy the Black boys.
The Black voice. Now, I didn't see the second one. I was just came in late and was finishing up the one on how and why we buy, what we have available as a race of people, and where our money goes, which we know is always back to them. It doesn't come home to us. But if you'll give me a brief synopsis of what that second video is, I might be able to at least give an intelligent, opinion.
Well, you're gonna probably have to catch the rerun. you're gonna probably have to catch the rerun, or you're gonna have to catch the rerun. But the this is feeding off of that about the school system. You know, talking about how boy kids are raised differently. Let me see if I can get to just the end of that part for you.
Okay, sounds good. Good.
I'll rewind that part for just the end, and then I'll get back to that. But this was just to trickle off what that man was saying.
Okay.
All right, give me 1 second, sis.
Okay.
Okay. Let's see if it's going to put me where I was at. Okay, it did. I ain't got to go so far back.
Okay. Or even if you could formulate a question for me from what was on that video. Because you know, Tony,
says I got it.
Okay.
Hello?
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to cut this one off. And then I'm going to go back to the one where I was at.
Okay.
I'm only going to get to the meat and potato part.
Okay. Good enough, because you know I taught in the school system from preschooler age through every grade level through university for over 50 years. I'd say close to 55. I started very early. I'm 77 now, but in my 20s I was already teaching, and every level you can imagine, and every subject, academic subject, as well as teaching education through the use of art. So I'm ready for whatever question, and I know exactly what happens in those environments to boys and girls. And I know the disparity of teaching our boys and girls.
Now remember, this video is like 33 years old, and the first video that you're talking about, that video was in the 1950s, and it's a shame that it's still standing today in 1921 in 2021. But let's just see what he had to say. And this video is like almost 35 years old.
Remember, the exact percentage is 83% in the elementary grades. The number of Black children in public schools, 17%. But Black children are 41% of all the special ed children. Now, 17 doesn't equal 41. LD, learning disabled, EMR, eligible mentally retarded, BD, behavior disorder. It gets worse. If a Black child is going to be labeled special ed, 85% of the time it's going to be a Black boy. Why is it not 50-50 Black boy, Black girl? Well, the reason may not be with just Black children, Bill Moyers and Patrick Monahan. It may be a period of time. It may be that female teachers may not know that boys are different than girls. You all didn't know that, didn't you? That boys are different than girls. I only want the women to answer. The men know they're different. I want to now hear the women to share with us what are some of the differences between boys and girls in the classroom. Because only when you know what the differences are can you then change your methodology to meet the needs of their learning styles. Yes.
Active, more inquisitive.
Okay, so boys are more active. What else? More physical. Okay, more aggressive. What else?
All right, let me just let you understand. He's talking about what happens why are our children so successful up until they get into 3rd grade, and then what happens when the boys get into 4th grade. So this is what he's basically saying here.
Okay. And so 3rd and 4th, third.
So you
go ahead.
So you can get an idea of what age bracket he's talking about. That's why I said, let me just let you know.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. 3rd and 4th grade. Go ahead.
So he's basically getting on we're now in 3rd grade. He's just trying to say things change when kids get in the 4th grade. We're gonna let him finish.
Come on now, you all got the boys, explain what they do.
I think.
Go ahead, go
I
ahead.
think the boys are more egotistical.
Okay, so a large ego?
Large ego, and you have to
Okay,
feel
got a good
like
group. Any others?
They're not quite as willing to please either as little girls.
Okay, so less cooperative. And we just want to add a few more because of time. To reinforce, we found the boys are more aggressive, are more athletically inclined, have a shorter attention span, a slower maturation rate, as you said, are less cooperative, are larger than the girls, influenced more by their peer group, more advanced gross motor than fine motor, not as neat as girls, are louder than girls, like wearing hats on their head, have a different walk, have a larger ego, and last but not least, play the dozens more than girls. Do you know how many teachers, especially white teachers, white female teachers, don't know what the dozens are, don't know what signifying is? Now remember, we live in a world controlled by men. Males want to find out who's the best, or as they say, who's the baddest. Now remember, in school, the rule is you can't fight, but they still want to find out who's the best. They created a new game called dozens, signifying. It is a verbal word game on the most prized person in the Black community. Now, who is the most prized person in the Black community? Your mom. We're talking about your mama right now. I saw your mama on the railroad track, looked at her and said, ooh, get back. It's a verbal word game. Now, the game is designed, it's a verbal word game of the most prized person, your mama. Now, if you break down and start fighting, you get kicked out of school, so I automatically win. If you break down and start crying, again, I automatically win. Now, before I go on, do you know how many Black boys have been suspended or placed in special areas because they were playing the dozens? Do you know how many teachers don't understand those same two Black boys who were playing the dozens, really getting down each other's mamas, were the best of friends 2 seconds later? They didn't understand the culture. Now, don't misquote me. I'm not condoning the dozens nor Black English, but they both exist. And if you want to move a child from one to the other, it may not be what you say. It may be how you're saying it. In other words, Black English, first day of school, 5-year-old girl walked into your classroom, speaking what she heard, Black English. When you condemn the language, you've done more than condemn the language. You're now destroying the child's self-esteem. The language is legitimate, has different rules to it. It exists, legitimate rules to it. And if you want to move a child from Black English to standardized English, you don't condemn him. You make him feel good where he is. If you went on Albert, there's some skills to playing the dozens. I'm a former teacher, and I have some very good dozen players. There's some skills to playing the dozens. First of all, you have to have an expanding vocabulary. You have to have the ability to make words rhyme. You have to have quick thinking skills. You have to be comfortable public speaking. And I knew that. So I used to tell Willie, my best student, Willie, if you were that good playing the dozens, making words rhyme, vocabulary on the right, I want you to be the MC at all my programs. I want you in my drama department or my spelling bee team. In other words, I stroked him. I made him feel good where he was. And then he was willing to give me those skills in my classroom. But the real issue is, do we let these boys know we respect their culture? Because if you condemn it, they will fight you every step of the way. And you know what else they will do? They will also fight you in what we call the showdown. The showdown between Black boys and female teachers. You see, Black boys don't know when they're men. And Black men have not made it clear to them when they become men. So they think taking a female teacher one-on-one is going to make them a man, especially around 4th grade. From 4th grade on, they want to find out who's in charge of the class. It's called a showdown. There are numerous options in the showdown between a Black male and a female teacher. Showdown number 1. She says, sit down. Very unassertive. Well, Willie may sit down, but it may be late on in the afternoon. Willie wins showdown number 1. Showdown number 2. She responds to Willie some of the time, but not all the time. She's inconsistent. Well, I believe Willie wins each one of those she does not respond to. Showdown number 3. She said, I'm going to suspend you or place you in special ed. Well, he may lose to the assistant principal or special ed placement, but he did not do what she said. He wins showdown number 3. Showdown number 4. She says very assertively, sit down now. You know how good ones do it? They look at you. Strong eye contact. They look you back in line. And she wins showdown number 4. Showdown number 5. She responds to Willie each and every time. She's consistent. And she's winning each one of those showdowns. Then the last one, a friend of mine in Chicago told me she had a boy who thought he was so bad, he was not going to stand up. He was going to run the class sitting down. He's going to make her nervous. He's going to look at her and smile at her. So every time Audrey looked at him, he looked back and smiled. But then Audrey looked back with the same strength and smiled. This went on all day long. Willie looked and smile. Audrey looked back and smiled. At the end of class, some of the girls really came to Audrey and said, okay, I understand that you are in charge of this class. But the reason is she's done 3 things well. She first of all loves him, and he knows it. She respects him, and he knows that. And she also respects his culture, and he knows that. Because of that, there is no showdown, because he knows that she is in charge of the class. What I'm getting at, to return back to this, if you know that boys have a shorter attention span, what should that do to your lesson? Make it shorter or make it more interesting? If you understand that boys are more advanced gross motor than fine motor, what should you allow more in your classroom? More hands-on learning activities. In other words, my point is, if you understand that boys have different learning styles, rather than taking them out of your class and put them in special ed, why don't you alter your learning style, your methodology? But you know what's saying? Most principals know that 5% of their teachers make over 30% of the referrals. If that's the case, why remove the child? Why don't you remove the teacher? How is the child doing so well in 3rd grade with a good teacher, and now labeled EMR in 4th grade? It may not be the child, it may be the teacher. It's really a shame we can't stay on this long learning style. Hyperactivity, that's the value judgment. If you know what hyper is, God must have told you what normal is. Hyper is a value judgment. It may not be that blind boys are hyperactive. It may be the lesson plans are simply too slow. Think about that the next time you want to place a child in special ed. Some other issues. I want to wrap up with regards to what is the conspiracy to destroy black boys.
Okay. That was almost the end. So you would give me your feedback with that Black Star Queen.
Yeah. Now the sound was, a lot of the sound was very sketchy. It might just be my device on this end. His statistics, what this black man worked out on his charts, are still relevant today. Nothing has, remember, you know, we're in the habit, black folks, of thinking because we are capable of spending money, buying their brands, living among them in their suburban haunts, I like to call them, walking the streets with them, riding the transportation with them, airplanes, with whatever, meeting for lunch and tea and, you know, that kind of thing, that things have changed. They have not. There has been a verdict on black boys, black men, but black boys from the cradle, that they are dangerous, they are going to be arrogant, militant, aggressive, in your face, and that they are to be handled like a zookeeper would handle an animal. And I've seen it in the classrooms because I've been in the classrooms hands-on, like I said, from early childhood right through universities, where I taught teachers who are masters and PhDs. If you had less than that, you could not get into my class. And that was because they are being called back by many of the colleges to re-educate the teachers who have at least 10 years tenure, because they have no idea how to relate to and teach children, period, but to teach black children in particular, and specifically black boys. So when they have to come into a classroom in a university with me, there's already an attitude, what is she going to teach us about teaching children? She doesn't have a PhD. Neither do I have one, nor do I want one, nor do I need one. If I'm capable of teaching you, you got the paper. So why can't you do your job? I'm being brought in special forces to rearrange your mind because you are damaging our children. They are not learning. They're leaving these schools bruised and battered mentally, emotionally, and devastated spiritually. And they like to catch them at about 3rd or 4th grade, which is my specialty when I'm in those types of classrooms. They like to catch them at that age because they're 8 or 9. This is a crossover point for young Black boys. This is the time, if we were heavy into our culture, they would have rites of passage, and they would have to go through a number of ceremonies with men, not women. And these boys are ending up in classrooms, not only with female teachers, but with white female teachers who have a loathing for them. And they demonstrate it day and night. They get in the faces of these boys, and I've seen it. Now, when I say I'm in those classrooms, it means that someone has brought me in to a teacher's classroom to be with her an entire school season, a semester, to rearrange her life and to rearrange the lives of the children. One of the things that I'm most impressed with is the young Black boys at 8 and 9 years old, 3rd and 4th grade. That is when they are at their peak for absorbing. And if they're not absorbing the right thing, you're going to get a strange fruit when they leave those classrooms. So after they're battered mentally, emotionally, and physically pushed around, handled by these teachers, mainly female white teachers, if they reject that kind of treatment, they're sent to nurses or to psychiatrists in the schools. Then we're dealing with possible medication, you know. Yeah, I've seen it. So you're messing with DNA, you're messing with all kinds of things then. And the children are traumatized by the treatment because they have no way of defending themselves. The whole system is designed not in their defense, but in the defense of perpetrators, people who perpetrate a harm against them, against their budding young manhood. It's a real issue. And I have been accosted in classrooms when I was sent into these classrooms by the teachers because I bring a different element, a breath of life. They have freedom of speech. I even use methods like the African truth stick. You can't scream and yell and talk all over anybody in my class, especially not me. I am my mother's daughter, and we will have order here. However, you are free within certain parameters to speak your truth. So if there's an issue in a classroom, I stop the class. What good is a subject if you can't have order? If you can't have a sweetness, a joy, a passion for learning? What good just to memorize some stuff that you can't use later? What good is it? And the materials that they're feeding them, some of this stuff is so old in textbook. They have things like the Native Americans, the savages. They're still using that stuff in a lot of textbooks, you know? The Negro dissidents. And it's insulting, and the child has no way of defending themselves. And if they speak with a parent, we have been trained to accost our own children. If a teacher, especially for some reason, a female white teacher, calls a parent and speaks against the child, Black parents much too often either fly off and go completely crazy and make no sense whatever, trying to get their point across, or they have nothing to say because they are so intimidated by the presence of the white female. Now I go in there with a whole different thing, right? There's an issue. I don't want your teacher's in the classroom with me. I want her to sit out there with the children. You cannot stand here with me. You're not qualified. If you were, Guggenheim Museum from their education department would not have sent me, the only Black woman working with them, into your classroom. And they pay me, and your school gets an allotment for me coming in. So it's not costing you anything. Why are you objecting to me bringing a breath of fresh air and some freedom to these children and teaching all at the same time? They are insulted that our boys can learn so rapidly, and they can. They are not slower than girls. That is a concoction fed to us so that we help them to slow our boys down. They are, in many respects, I've found, way ahead of the girls because their minds are more on what's happening in the world of men. So naturally, they're going to be drawn to the sciences, the mathematics. The girls will be drawn to more stuff that has emotion in it. And I come in and I say, you want to talk about what's happening here, because I can't teach if you're losing your minds. And there's nothing here to be afraid of. I will not be in your face, but you won't be in mine. We have a truth stick in Africa. We're going to sit in a circle and pass this stick. And if you do not have it in your possession, you cannot speak. You must honor the person who has it. Do you know the children love it? Because there's a trust there. They know when that stick comes to them, it's their time. They can say whatever they want. And if the English is not quite correct, I'll say, hold on, sir, whoever the young man is. And I call him sir or little brother. Let somebody go to the computer. He just used a word that I don't think any of us understand. And while he's getting the information on the computer, we're going to continue with this truth stick thing. The children love it because it's theater learning. It's also a method of teaching through our tradition. And when the information comes back to everybody, they're like, oh my God, one word out of whatever this young man said, holding a stick, has opened up a whole new world for them. Meanwhile, the teacher's sitting in the back seething. And another thing, she can't grab a stick and say diddly squat. Not in my environment. She has to wait her turn. The children love it. And the young men, for the first time in many of these classrooms, can breathe easy, knowing they can speak their truth. They'll be corrected if they're going off the handle there somewhere, but not criticized for speaking their truth. They have to live in a world of men. This is a man's world, ladies, like it or lump it. And they have to live in a man's world. It is extraordinarily difficult for any Black man, especially a young boy who has not earned his way in the world yet, to compete in a man's world. And let's top that off in a white man's world. So if you stop him at 3rd and 4th grade, he's almost done for. Those who manage to make it past that and get into, you know, the upper grades and go all into college and become doctors, lawyers, and so on, that there's a great passion there for learning. Also, someone in their lives along the way, it could have been you, Tony, could have been someone like me, could have been someone like Sister K Money, it could have been anyone in your chat who stopped them in their tracks and had a word, a verse, a song, a poem, a correction, or just a loving, a joyfulness at seeing them learn something that changed their lives, that put them on the path to greatness. But they can be stopped at 3rd and 4th grade and get nothing done for the rest of their lives, have rotten relationships with women and with our women in particular, because we were defenseless to help them. Do you know they're still blaming us that we have not been able to solve the white man's issues with them?
That's the next one. That's the next one. We ain't gonna go on that one yet. I ain't gonna go on that one yet. But I just want to show you how messed up the world is. Now, what this man said, and I said before, he's 100. I had over 900 kids come through me because I work with the youth. Okay. And because each summer it's like about maybe 100 to 150 kids, and in the winter we got 25 kids. I run a youth program, and I make sure they do. I'm heavy into them volunteering in their own community. So I have them doing some of everything. So I had this one boy, he could not, I said it before, yes, I'm saying it again because she didn't hear me. And this boy would not lose an argument, and it reminded me of the dozens. And that man was 120% right. You could not beat that boy. And I pulled him over one day. I said, boy, you're going to make a great lawyer. He said, oh, stop playing, stop playing, stop playing. I said, why do you think I'm playing? He says, because nobody's ever said that to me before. He said, no. Yes. I said, I wouldn't have said it if I didn't mean it. I said, do you hear how you talk? And then I have the other ones, like the ones who don't have a voice, because the program that I run, we do free lunch and breakfast too. So we also have kids coming in and they serve the kids. So I have the ones without a voice do something with the younger kids. So now they have to be able to talk, like telling the younger kids sit down or you want to play. So I have to help some find their voice, but I look for all of their strengths. So you know,
Yes.
so it is. I mean, to learn all of the people, like, how do you learn all of different personalities? I'm like, I don't know how I do. I don't know how I do it. You know, then I had a lot of kids too.
It's a flow. If once you open up that flow in yourself, there's something, it's a very deep spiritual encoding we have, especially if you're called to work with children. And I mean called, and I believe that you're called the way that I was. Doesn't matter how many certifications and all of that you have. If you're not called, you're not going to get the results that I would get or you would get. So once you open that up in yourself, there's an encoding, something divine and sacred that comes through you and arranges everything. It touches that child and opens that child up, and you go home wondering, well, how did I do that? How did that happen? You know, you get a smile for the first time. And like you said, a child will speak for the first time, and then they tell you, nobody has ever done thus and so or said such a thing to me. Right. So there's an opening between you and the child, and at which time all the good stuff that that kid needs will start to drop in. It will start to come in. Somebody has to open it. We are vessels. And if right, the wrong thing can go in. That's why it's important for them to have someone who understands our history, our struggles, to teach our children, especially the boys, Yeah, they are on the battlefront. Yeah.
Then you have to realize, you know, because, you know, like I do a thing called amnesty. Maybe I'm saying the word wrong. Well, I say it right when I'm with them. But that's when, because, you know, none of us is perfect, right? So sometimes I'm a little bit hard on them. So then sometimes I'll call some kids room. I said, this is amnesty time. I said, you got the time. This is your time, like you said, with the stick. I said, you got the time to tell me exactly how you feel about me.
Yes.
Exactly how you feel. I said, we need to learn how to communicate, because if you communicate with me, I'm trying to teach them how to, like sometimes I will like get on their nerves, because I want to see where is their temper at, where is their anger at, and I know how far to go. Then I'll call them in, and then I go, well, what you didn't like, because I'm trying to teach them how to communicate and take that anger and turn it into communication.
And communication is a skill, and they have to. It's interesting. 8, 9 years old is the time to teach communication skills, because that will be for later, for your girlfriend, for your mother, for your grandmother, for anyone else that you meet, male or female, later on. They need to get those skills early, and that is where they attack, so that most of our young boys never get that skill unless somebody at home is very savvy, or they're put into recreational centers or somewhere where someone understands how to get what's necessary from them. Freedom to speak is one of the things, but recognition, as you said, of their strength. You might have to dig a little bit, but they all have something.
I smell it.
I know you have 1,000 stories. Yeah, I know you have the story.
I see the girls, they first walk in, their shirt is way below their butt. And before the week is over, it's got that little knot in the back.
oh yes.
It got the little knot in the back. But the main thing is, when they do trust you, you'd be amazed what these kids are going through. And when
it's deep.
Yeah, you have them when they start trusting you and they start telling you a lot of personal things. And it's like, I think I better teach them to communicate just a little bit more, because a lot of them, we don't understand. A lot of these kids are angry, even at 7 and 8.
Very angry. Yeah.
We don't know
Very
what's going on
angry.
in the house, and they are even angry at that age.
And many of them don't have a decent bed to sleep in. They might not get breakfast, or they go home to parents who are so anger filled or not at home or don't want to be at home. There's not always someone there ironing and washing clothes, seeing to the environment is sweet for a child to be in, or having a sessions around the kitchen table where you get some books out. What I used to do with my kids, my twin boys are 53 years old now. Daughter's 55, I think Kim is. And we used to do with them, instead of beating the hell out of the kids, you know how we've been trained to just slaughter our children. Every time they open their mouths, say hello, or shift their eyes a different way. You're looking at me? This is training we have from slavery. This is how we've been instructed to deal with each other. I used to sit them down at the kitchen table and say, okay, everybody's been out of order today, but guess what? I don't have the strength to get stupid with you. So what we're going to do is, everybody has an assignment. You get some Shakespeare, this one, some Langston Hughes, that one, some Maya Angelou, somebody else. I want Stevie Wonder's history and how he got to where he is, since you love Stevie so much. And tomorrow night at dinner, this is what it's going to be. You're going to lay your work out in front of me. We want to hear poems. We want to hear short story. They thought that was punishment until a few years ago. And my children are old people, and they are now coming and saying, Ma, what we thought was punishment was training and skills for our future life. We shine among our friends and at our jobs. When we walk through the door, they know we got it going on, and we are unapologetic about being Black men. I said, but you used to be embarrassed when I go into a classroom and almost jack up a white teacher. They were like, Lord, my mother has come to school. Oh, Lord.
Let me ask
they said,
you a question.
Yeah, go ahead, honey.
The classroom, right? How that's needed. Now, like with my son, right? And a lot of teachers don't get this. And tell me, have you experienced it, and what did you do? I mean, I get phone calls all day long. Now, listen, I'm the type of mother, I know my child. I'm going to tell you how he is, and this is what's going to, if you do this, this is what he's going to do. But
absolutely,
what they don't understand is some kids are extroverted and some kids are introverted. Some kids are just really that shy. Some teachers like pushing that kid, and then now you're going to get unwarranted behavior now. That now you want to call me. I told you, number one, don't push him. And if he's acting a certain way or see him get a little bit of hype, leave him alone for like 5 seconds, 5-10 seconds. He'll come to the new kid. But I noticed that because now that I deal with kids, I'm like, I see all of them have the same complaints. I'm like, okay, so it's not just my son. It's like these teachers, in their mind is, I'm the teacher, I demand respect. When I think they all flunk psychology or something, or flunk some classes. But what do you give them kids that grace period? If you see how in your training, what do you do with them type of kids?
They I would do pretty much the same thing that you do with the child. I need to know what presses the wrong buttons with you. And we get that out of the way early in a classroom. I do when I'm working with children, so that I know not to cross certain boundaries. I have to respect the territory that you call your own, which is your personal self. I can't impose on that because I do not want you imposing on me. So it's going to be fair trade up in this classroom. You are not going to disrespect me, but I demand the same for you I demand from myself as well. And once they get that trust, they will go ahead and open up to you. But you can't get in the face and insult every child. Some children will take it because they're so beaten down or they're so quiet and silent, but they're pressing that stuff down inside, and it will be coming out later. And in ways that we really don't want to see. It will be coming out later. But these, a lot of these teachers, Tony, are messed up. Yeah.
And I'd be like,
go ahead, honey, I'm sorry.
And then his school, he's in a charter school. So I thought I'd bring that up in case you know the difference with charter schools and regular schools. Everything is detention. I'm like, well, what did he do? What you gotta explain to me, what did this boy do to live in the matter? What did he do to live in detention? And they cannot give me a good enough reason why my child is to the point that he tuned them all out. And now
there is no good reason. Yeah, they don't have a good reason. They are trained. We see they're operating out of that thing that I'm not sure how much we can actually say on a platform like this, that supremacy. They're operating out of that mindset. And they are already geared up to head these boys towards incarceration. It starts with detention. And this is intentional. There's nothing random about this. And they will press a child to the point where the child absolutely needs to come out fighting. Otherwise, you will be pressed all of your life and bullied all of your life, and all kinds of strange things will happen to you. So some children instinctively know, because we are encoded with what is correct and what is not. They know, okay, it's fight or flight. I have to do something. I cannot let this person push me like that. It means I have to get a detention. And meanwhile, I haven't said or done anything that's all that awful. And no, they can't give you a reason, and they won't give you a reason, because the real reason is one they don't want you to be aware of. It's just fortunate for us that we're smart enough to know what it is. You're setting my child up. Right, you're setting him up for prison cells and all kinds of, to get used to being detained. Yeah.
And besides that, they got mad at me. I want to just tell you a couple of things he got into detention for. He dropped the pen. He dropped the pencil and he picked it up.
Oh yes. Oh yes.
I'm like, you call my house for this? Well, he was he disturbed the classroom by picking up the pencil. One time he burped. I'm like, how do you stop a burp? I'm like, I know you didn't call me up to the school for a day. But the thing is that being that he tuned them out, first of all, he's an introvert. And then now that he tuned them out, and he's not going with their rules. So what they did was, now they're taking his education away from him, because the more he's in detention, the more he missed classes. So of course he's not going to have good grades because he's not in the classroom.
Exactly. So and that's the way they want it. That is the way they want it. And when they send in an emergency crew like me, I end up with principals and panels coming after me to sit down and talk to them about why I'm so different in a classroom. I said, if normal, ordinary could get you out of the slop that you're in your classroom, nobody's passing SATs or whatever that stuff is, because of you, your attitude, your lack of concern, your lack of compassion, your lack of a true understanding of education. There's a difference in teaching, instructing, and educating. And boy, they have, I mean, I was put before a board of psychiatrists in one school. And one of the psychiatrists, the psychiatrist was a Jewish woman from Long Island. This was a school in Virginia. She had left New York to go down there, you know, the good old Southern South, where Negroes are more under control. She went down there and didn't like it too much. when I came in and they had me grilling me as to why I allowed so much freedom, I said, but you're getting so much in return. These children are brilliant. They have passed their tests for the first time in 4 years. You're getting your funding back. You are now the poster child for all of these elementary schools in this state. What's your problem? And guess what? You're not paying me anything. I'm being paid by the foundation that sent me in as a Band-Aid. Girl, I can't tell you what they put me through. Finally, they decided to set me up the same way I had seen them set young Black men up. They didn't bother the girls as much. They try to set me up and say, every time you pass a classroom, you run in there and start hugging on all of our boys. I said, I beg your pardon? I beg your pardon? No, that ain't my style. No. So and if you try it, you're gonna have trouble. You think I'm cute? You think I'm nice? I'm not. I'm a thing on wheels, and you know what I mean on wheels. You haven't seen me come out yet. Oh yes, I said I'll take this place down brick by brick. Okay, so born in segregated South, go ahead and play your best card. I'm gonna give you a good game here. So oh yeah, I'm waiting like y'all come on. One bunch of teachers and principals, Board of Ed people came. I said, why don't we just take this out in the yard? You know, I can take my shirt off. They said, you what? I said, don't make me. With my wrinkled old self, I'll scare the hell out of the whole town, and that'll be the end of that. So, girl, well, they started laughing, and then they said, oh, you're a comedian. I said, no, I'm top-notch entertainer when I'm on stage, but this is not a stage, this is classroom. And I'm very serious about teaching our children. And this business about me running in a class, hugging boys, I said, every time I pass a classroom, I have to sneak through the back door of the school because the children, when they see me go past the window, pour out of the classroom and knock me to the floor. And guess what? A whole bunch of those were white children, integrated school. They are so glad to see me because the learning is going to be different. And they are going to learn to work differently with the young Black men. I'm kind of isolating the girls from the young Black fellas right now. Yeah, the classroom itself will not be as tense because even the white children in there are going to be more comfortable with young Black men who are comfortable with themselves. Right. It makes a difference. They don't have to pretend to be all that. They can just be their little old white selves. Nobody cares, you know? Yeah. I've had one of these parents who live in a trailer park thing. Meet me in a parking lot one day.
It's different too.
9-year-old. Yeah, wow.
Their lingo is different too, but they don't get judged for it. They don't get judged for their culture. Their lingo is way different than an educated talk also. But we would get as dumb and we'll be the one that's sitting in the back of the classroom. But the trailers park kids are sitting in the back too. But they don't get the X on their forehead like ours do.
Exactly. We're branded. And the training for us to fall apart starts very early. For some reason, the heavy focus is right there, 3rd and 4th grade. That is a crossover point emotionally, mentally, and physically for our young men. They are going to grow physically differently than the girls will be in strength and so on. Their mental activities are very different. They're trying to live in the world of men. They're looking around for who can they emulate. And if they start acting like the men on the block or whatever, if they're living in those kinds of situations, they try to bring that to the classroom, and they appear to be muscling up on the teachers. I've seen these white female teachers even say, he touched me in the classroom. He pushed me. No, he did not. I'm sitting right here. He approached you and asked, may I do so and so? No. And he threw his hands up. He grabbed his own head, about to explode.
So right.
And it interpreted into he's violent he needs to go to the nurse or the psychiatrist and get some medication.
Yep. I had so many kids tell me, all the teachers said I touched it, detention. Now, to flip the coin, right? And this is where hopefully you can come in more often, because I'm going to need you. You just got to give me your hours. Now, I had these videos I have had a while. I'm just going through my archives that was in my original.
Where did you get those from? Yeah, those videos around when Washington crossed the Delaware, girl. Where'd you get those things from?
I study all day, and I always go back.
Them. Yeah.
I always got to go back to go forward, because people wonder why I don't do arguments when it comes down to black people. Because I'm like, I can show you from the 40s up until now, we're having the same conversation. The one you saw with the economic, every time the system changed, they study us again. And in the first, I was spending $3 billion. That was in 1954. We spent $3 billion. We gave them $3 billion. So imagine 2021. That was $3. Can you imagine when we started getting that money? $3 billion. I mean, can you imagine what we still have no economical freedom at all in 2021. And that was 1954. Now the education system, now you said it's the same thing that's happening today. So what I've never done when I was doing all my studies, so I said, let me see if I can find something today. Let me tell you how bad it has gotten. Let me tell you, and they said the destruction of black men, but after I saw this, I had to change my mind. It says the destruction of the black woman. When I said, let me tell you, when I went to go look, I went into my my old archives on my original YouTube. So I'm gonna be pulling up a lot of more. So y'all gonna see, y'all guys are getting to know me. Y'all getting to know what I like and what I do. So I'm glad y'all coming into my world. Number one, this is me all the time. So I look today for the same, I put the same thing there, you know, the takedown, not the takedown, destroying the black man. I looked for destroying the black woman. Let me show you what I got. You won't believe it. You won't believe it. I'm going to show you what I found. You will not believe what I found. Destroying the black woman. This is what I found in 2021. Can you guys see this? Can you guys see this?
I'm getting my magnifying glass out.
I don't know. Yeah, get your magnifying glass out, sister.
Girl, you know I'm legally blind.
Oh gosh. Okay.
Yeah, these glasses bring me up to less than half your 2020. Same with the contact lenses. But I'm one of three master soft sculptors in the world. My artwork is fantastic. I'm skilled, I'm educated in my craft, and I'm gifted in my art. It shows you what you can do. I had teachers like you who saw who I was. My folks didn't see it. A lot of friends when I was younger didn't see it, but I had a few teachers like you. They saw it and they said, you got something. And I have carried that until today.
Oh, amen. Now, when we get down to destroying the black woman, this is what I found. Black women are destroying themselves and black men. Crazy women destroy store after EBT cards. The black woman destroying the black community. Crazy women freak out in gas stations. The explosion of truth about why women are destroying real men. Are Black women destroying their girls by raising whores and thoughts. Okay? Then we got angry women. Now out of all the history, nothing came up yet how they destroyed the. So I said, oh, containing to these videos, is y'all really the black men destroying us? Because I'm trying to find a 1950 video, 60 video, 70, 80, 90, 2000, and this is what I'm getting. Single mothers are destroying their sons. Black women are destroying the black community. Are strong black women destroying black people? Black women going to college is destroying the black community.
Yes,
The black
I
women
know that one.
the young daughters of Zion. This is what I get from. Now I could put the destruction of a black man, and I look at all the videos that I got. I haven't found not one video, not one. I just wanted y'all to see the double. I'm like, here we go, watching these. It's okay, we got sons, so we have to watch it. But where is how we were destroyed? How was the black woman? How was the black woman destroyed? I mean, shouldn't it be some lessons on that? There's none.
There should indeed. And this is one of their great skills at separating us. Because if the proper union between black man and black woman, be we friends, family, romances, it would be too powerful a union for them to handle if we cared about each other and did not blame each other for all of this that has happened to us, and put the blame where it really belongs and leave it there, and stop forgiving them for separating and destroying us. We are not responsible for their demonic attacks on our family from 500 or so years ago, and we know that it started way before that. We're talking thousands of years of invasion into our mental, emotional, spiritual societies. And finally, you bring the body down. Our physical lives are in shambles as well. Hypertension, obesity, diabetes, all of this can be traced back to trauma.
But now it looks like they, in all reality, it wasn't about bringing down. Now I got it now. It was never about destroying the black man. It was destroying the black woman, because we the one that stood strong.
Well, see, nobody wants to nobody wants to handle that one, Tony. Not even black men want to approach that one, because they are still in a man's world, and they are still competing for power in the white man's world.
That we never.
Yes.
Check out. Yes.
We have never had access to that. And neither have we desired access to that as much as our men. There's something about that man's world thing, that warrior quality in men. And so naturally, we get to be blamed for all of what was perpetrated against us. And black men not understanding that that is a tool for destruction have fallen into the trap. It is a trap. We are not responsible. And I don't mind one bit telling a brother, if he's of that mode of thinking about all what the black woman did, she don't support me. Guess what? I don't have to play into that with you, because that's a white man's game. Perhaps you go somewhere and get it together. Yeah, you get it together and then come back, and you're gonna find a different me. But as long as you're coming at me with what he taught you to say and the way he trained you to act against me, we're gonna have issues. And I'm not backing down at this point, because as long as I back down, you will never correct yourself and pull it together. I must maintain this strength, because I am the first out of the Creator's breath. And here's a fact, a scientific fact. We were not created out of anybody's rib. And I dare any man to stand up with any scripture and fight with me on that one. We did not come from a rib. And that Eve that they found in Africa, who's millions of years old, the remains of the first mother Eve, she was one of several Eves. There have been several Adamic races. Most of them failed. This one is failing too. And so this Eve that they're blaming with the serpent and all that mess was not who I'm talking about. I'm talking about the original transmission from the breath of the Almighty, the Creator, before anything was made, before any of mankind appeared on this planet. After the animals, the plants, the whatever, the water, and this was all set up and ready to go, he made she. She was made. And she had the ability to produce out of her personal power females only at first. She could impregnate herself. And there's still till this day virgin births. And most of them happen to take place in Africa. You can Google that and get the information. It's all there for you, Wikipedia. It's all there. And we impregnating ourselves through design and encoding. This is divine, sacred masterwork from the Creator. After a while, we began to produce males. They came after the females so that we could then people the planet. But we are first. Mother is first. The goddess is first. Then came the other. Now you can imagine the kind of stuff I go through with some brothers who are not aware. But that's all right. I love you anyway. And it's time for everybody wants to be woke. Guess what? I say awakening. Wake up. That woke thing is very strange. What is woke? Wake up. Yeah, there's another level of consciousness before we can go anywhere. It doesn't matter how many guns, how many laws we test, how many protests, how many degrees, how many cars, and none of that matters. A level of consciousness must be shifted in the melanated people, in Black people, in order for us to come out of this mess. And it is that there must be a restoration of respect and regard and honor for the divinity of the Black female, the first mother on the planet Earth, who was able to people it for a while through her own divine encoding before she decided to make man. Now, these later Eves, okay, they might have come from somebody's rib. And not only that, this business about the serpent, okay, who was tempted? If you weren't supposed to go to sleep, you were supposed to watch the garden, and you fell asleep. What made you fall asleep? Somebody hypnotized you.
Biblically, they forget the part. I mean, if you're speaking apart on the biblical terms.
Yeah. Well, you know, hypnotism.
God didn't Eve the man.
We have the appearance of the Jezebel spirits, the Delilah spirits.
I did that. Did you see it?
Yeah.
And I did no, you didn't. I did it on my Sugar Love channel.
Oh, you got it on your side. Oh, okay.
On my remember my Sugar Love channel is on strike for 3 months, so I had to start this one. But I did do the Jezebel. I always felt education in it. But biblically speaking, God gave Adam, if you're speaking biblical, God gave Adam the commandment, not Eve, number one. Secondly, after Eve bit the apple, what's the next verse? The next verse is Adam was there and watched her. So y'all never been men. At what point in time did the man say, hey, woman, put that down? Or what did God tell us? He said, people like, well, apple. Well, he let her. Adam let her. He stood right there. He was sleeping. That's the next verse. Adam was there and watched her bite the apple. How do y'all mysteriously leave that part out to blame women? No, the man is the blame.
Left her totally unprotected. And I, the personal opinion and my personal theory, I don't think she was ever tempted. I think he was the first temptation by one of those Delilah spirits, one of the Jezebel spirits, a Salome spirits. That is a spirit. And I believe that he was hypnotized or drugged in some way. If an apple was eaten, he was the one that ate it. Do you know that there's poison in the apple seed? The apple is a wonderful nutrient fruit to eat, but the seeds are deadly poison. That's why I used to see the old movies with the witches would give the girl the apple to eat, the poison apple. It was the seed that are the problem. So I think boyfriend has some seeds. I think he had some seeds. Whatever it was, put him under. And they were dealing with extraterrestrials and all kinds of weird stuff that they call reptilians. It got real nasty up in there. But instead of taking the responsibility, and see, this is what's happening too much with our males now. Take responsibility, right? And that lack of standing up truthfully and taking responsibility started that far back. That's why some of those Adamic races had to be scrapped. They weren't working. And now we have this latest one that we're in now. This is a mess too. But the Black female has retained that divine encoding of what is correct to bring our people out of this mess. We have retained it. We still have it. All we need to do is tap in, but we need to stop looking for love in all the wrong places. Stop competing with all whatever the white woman is doing. Take our flesh off the market. Everything about us now is fleeing and flailing and throwing flesh around. That all of that is coming from that so-called original sin. We're left out there on our own, raped, accosted, beaten, and no one's coming to our aid. How often do you hear a Black woman being slammed down, beaten in the street, body slammed, 6, 7, 8, 12, big old husky cops laying on top of her, folding her arms up like origami behind her back, stomping, slapping, kicking, calling her everything except a child of God, and the men standing on the sideline videotaping with their phones. And then you blame me for your lack of courage, responsibility. Well, you might get hurt or killed. Well, guess what? We're getting hurt and killed every day of the week. There's no might about this. Yeah, it's a reality. They're taking us out. Yeah. They need to take the females out now because we know too much. We have all of the information from the origin of the family of man. We have the information, and we can go in there and pull it out. We have that ability to do it without a lot of aid and assistance. We just need to quiet down for a minute and come up out of the world stuff, you know, out of all of that stuff that they put there for us to compete with. We need to see the truth of who we are authentically. Then we can properly work with our boys. We can see when they're off. We also need to be able to bring them to the men at the proper time for their rites of passage. We can't get any of that done now. There's just too much confusion. And it's too much squabbling between males and females. This business about why can't I have polygamy? I don't care what you have. You can get 20 of them if they're willing to go along with your program. Pay your bills, feed your babies, educate your children.
But
right. Set your queens up. Right. If you want 20 queens, a concubine, set them up.
No, thank you. But I get what you're saying.
running in and out of the white man's welfare office, all 15 of your wives. You have to earn them. You have to deserve them. We are treasures. Right, we are treasures. Ain't nothing here free. We are a gift to you from the Creator. Right. So if you want all that, I don't have a problem with it. In fact, I know a fellow who's probably about 80, 85 years old now, who had about 20 of those wives down in New York City at one time. The girls were absolutely stunning. I mean, they were done up like Arabian Nights, and they kept him absolutely gorgeous. But the girls created a council of wives within his household, and they got everything they needed to run the household and also to run the lives of the children so that everything went correctly for them. They created their own schools, they did all that. And the council was, they sat him down and said, look, you want all of this? This is the way it's going to work. It's not your decision to make. Nothing is being ruled here with anybody's iron rod. See, there's too much of that stuff too. Misplacing of scripture, what scripture should mean. Now, we ain't ruling nothing here like that. We're creating a kingdom of incredibly beautiful, gifted, energetic people, male and female, out of this household of 15 wives. So this is the way it's going to go. That was the happiest man I ever saw in my life. That was the happiest man. I'm telling you, he was the envy of everybody in New York. I hope that brother's still around, because a lot of others who want that life can learn from him. And he's not docile. He's ready and willing at any moment, at least he was in those days, to protect every single woman. And every woman had a voice. If that's what you want, take care of the business. Take care of the business.
It's gotten so bad. Like, if you look at the, I'm gonna ask you a question though, but this one is Black women are destroying our Black communities. I'm going to tell you why. This behavior has to stop.
Girl, it's got to.
Let's talk about Black women divesting, mothers destroying sons, and more. Why some Black women only care about Black families when destroying Black men? This is all I came up with.
And that's all there's going to be. That's all they want us to see.
So but I'm like, I found videos from the 50s, everything containing the black boy, black boy, black boy, black boy. And we're in 2021. I'm like, well, damn, well, hold up. I go to Google and I go here, and this is, if you can see on the screen, this is what women goes rampage, women yelling slurs, the rise of the thought culture, Black woman slams Black man. Okay. And this is, I still ain't come up with one thing of how the Black woman were destroyed. So I go to show you that the talk about us destroying them cannot be true if every video you have is about the Black man being destroyed. So now you guys are profiting off the Black woman. You're profiting. It's like 263,000, 92,000 views. Black women destroying it is good for you. You only got 10 views with your ugly self. Now, I want to ask you, with this new manosphere and this new manosphere and all that stuff, have you heard of the new guy that all these men are I don't care. I don't want to sound ghetto, but they all on his webos, if you know what I mean. This guy called Kevin Samuels. Have you heard of the new guy now? The wannabe dating coach, Kevin Samuels?
No, I hadn't heard of that. A dating coach.
He's a wannabe dating coach, but all he does
a wannabe.
Disrespect women, and them men are caping for him. Like, I'm like, how does a man send a bunch of money to the next man? That's just like, told my son a long time ago. I said, son.
There's a subtle attempt. It's not so subtle now, it's very obvious, to replace the Black woman.
This
Did I
guy
say
said we
too much?
desirable. This guy said this guy said we not even desirable. Oh wow.
I might have said too much, Tony, but they're trying to replace the Black woman. We are the only power that can hold the Black man steady at this point. If we let go of him, it's going to be a sad day on the planet Earth, not just here, the United States or the tropics or Africa, on the planet. If we let go of him, the only thing that's keeping him in order at this time, however raggedy our situation might be as females, is the strength and the resolve of the Black woman. And they fear us because we have something that's so outrageously strong and lasting, because we come from the everlasting. If we were the first, we're the first breath out, we cannot be taken. That's right. We can outlast anything and anyone, including our own men. And here's where I'm in big trouble with the men, and they know I love them. They're the most beautiful creatures on the planet Earth. I wouldn't give them up for anything. But I will have from them what a queen and empress deserves to have, is their respect, their love, their protection, their devotion. I am not having anything less. And when we reach that point, Black women, we got it. We're over. We over all the stuff. But it has to come to that point where his respect is so powerful, his willingness to protect and to care for us, so that we can grow his world again the way it's supposed to. By the time they entered this physical realm, we had already set it up. And maybe that was too much. We had set it up. He didn't have to create anything. All he had to do, we gave the blueprint. All he had to do was architect, construct from the blueprint. We came in riding on the blueprint, which is divine. All he had to do was get the work done. And somewhere along the line came the division through the voice of what we call, or scripture calls, the enemy. There's a negative spirit that has always been jealous, not of men, but of the melanated female womb.
I said that.
That's why they're making an effort in their labs to replace us. They now have able to insert a womb into males. Black, white, no matter what kind of male you are, and as well as female genitalia. We know that, including breasts, and with a lubricating process. You hear where I'm coming from? I'm trying not to get too graphic. Everything. And so at some point, they won't have to even inseminate them. They'll be able to take the seed of the man naturally and produce children. But what will these souls be like? Because that birth process, the fertilization in the womb of the female has to be such that a spirit has to be able to come into the form that she produces. And if you're not doing it the way it was set up by the Creator, there will be some spirits coming in, but it won't be what you're looking for. And if they think we got a mess now, what will come through those artificial females will take it down, will take the planet down. So naturally, you have to remove the first female, the one who's carrying the information, the blueprint, the template for all of mankind, or family of man. Right. You notice that at a certain period in history, all of the female divinity, sacredness, was removed from all scriptures. All of the matriarchy was removed.
Yeah. And it turned
Yeah.
man. Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
They horrified us to the point where if we saw them coming or heard the footsteps or heard the horses coming, whatever black males we had in our house, we had to take their breaths out of their body by putting our mouths over theirs and take their breaths back into us where it came from, rather than let the slave drivers come in and mangle them to the point where they were not recognizable. So we were capable, that's strength, that's power, of taking back the breath, knowing that the physical is only here for a moment, but they can never take the spirit. So we took the spirit of so many of our children back into ourselves. That's power. Of course, they got to get rid of us. They have to separate us from our men. That kind of power cannot be allowed. It can't be allowed when you want to turn this earth into a hell.
They get it paid. And as you see how I stroke, even though you couldn't see it, you see how I stroke that it wasn't, and I'm putting the same way I put destruction of the black man. I got nothing but the good videos. I put destruction of the black woman. I'm like, well,
negative. We are the key to creation. That's why. Yeah. They'll mess with the black man, or they mess with him. And I think also a lot of times that is a false narrative that's been being created too. Now they give you the graphics, they do the killing. They treat them like garbage. They do all that. But they also, I think it's a building up of a story. So that they're easy and malleable. And they build a different story for us because we are not so easily taken. Then they give him their women, which is their greatest weapon. Their women are weaponized to take the starch out, to take the culture out, to take the blackness out of our men, and to produce children who don't know who they are.
Exactly.
Right. And then they got him. But the only way they can truly bring him down is to take the woman down. And that's not going to happen. We might be in raggedy shape, but we're still standing. We're still standing. And this is an absolute shock. They can't believe this. How could that be? How could you turn a woman upside down and hang her by her feet and slit her womb open, her belly open, drag out a fetus?
Get that. Oh my goodness.
Right. And grind his head into the dirt. And the man has to, he has to watch that. So our men also are filled with guilt that they have not had the power to defend us. There's also a lot of guilt there. And what do you do when you're guilty? You turn on the one that is the innocent. You know, since you're powerless to fight the perpetrator, you come home and you turn on your household. I've seen that many times, many times.
Tomorrow we might have another old video. So what time are you available so we can watch the video? Then you can analyze. Then you can do your commentary on it. So I will start about 7. That's good.
Yeah. You're going to start at about what time, sister? Did you say?
I can start about 7. Or you want to start earlier? It's up to you, because this video is about an hour and change.
Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah, no, 7 is good for me. I'll have, because I'm on my cell phone, I'll have everything all charged up and ready to roll. I'm not that great with these devices, but that's okay. I get some other thing. I can bake a sweet potato pie, you know. So
I'll take it. And
a bread pudding, Virginia style. So with the devices, I'm still a little slow, but I'll have everything ready.
Video.
Yeah,
like I said, these things I used to watch many moons ago. But being that we got Black History Month, I think these are the discussions that really need to be talked about during Black History Month. Not just the certain 3 to 5 people all the time. We're gonna talk about
repeat the same old thing, Martin Luther King, this one, that we love them, we cherish them, we're blessed to have had them, but there's a whole lot more that's deeper than all of that. Who demonstrated, who marched, who went to jail. The thing is so deep that if we don't get to the depth of it, the origin of the evil perpetrated against the female, we will never get this problem solved. And people ask it all the time. I hear folks all the time, why can't we do this? Why can't we? What's the matter with us? No, it's what has been done to the female that is the matter with the race. Plain and simple. And Caucasian females are terrified of us, terrified. Because they know we are the answer to every Black man's question. They know this. They cannot answer his questions.
Okay, that's needed said. Ladies, what's your take on what's the agenda is behind the push all people of color to get the priority taken? Okay, we're gonna speak upon the vaccines in another subject. We're on the education and why the education, and then speaking upon the destroying of the Black man. And we want to know why there is no video of destroying of the Black girl. We see the destroying of the Black woman, the Black boys. But we don't see nothing of containing how Black girls got destroyed. Even it's this old movie I saw, Goodbye Uncle Sam, or something like that. I have seen, and the things that they done, I seen. It was one scene in there when they used to when you get 13 years old, they had to give you to your master. They want the young girls in the brothel houses. So one girl was 13 years old, and come to find out she was still a virgin. She got beat for that. How dare you bring a virgin up in here? And if you ever check out that movie, check out Goodbye Uncle Sam. It's also another old, I'm an old person in heart. It's another old movie, but the older ones you get better. It's better than what these new ones is. It's more factual. It showed more graphics than what we see today. But that movie is kind of long, but it's disgusting. It's disgusting. I wish there was a way I could send it to you. It's disgusting how they had the women. Even when we got over here, how they sprayed us and the same thing they fed the hogs. They sent and then how they stuck the men and the women in the back and sprayed them down. You really have to see that. So that's why I can't understand
hurting us into barns, packing us in like cattle with our brothers, our uncles, our fathers, our nephews, and they having forced to impregnate us to create more workers for masters' profit. And there's a lot of guilt there with Black men because there's a tremendous amount of inbreeding was forced on us, which was something we did not do as a culture. And so there's a lot there that our men are dealing with that they have not come to grips with. Yeah. They haven't come to grips with that, and no one wants to speak on it. And if you open your mouth, you have problems. Big problems.
This channel. This channel.
This is a piece of work.
How are we going to heal if we don't talk about it, sister?
This is what the problem is. And people are asking, why are we so slow in healing? I hear the question all the time. What's the matter with us? Because we are refusing to go deeper than the surface stuff we've been spewing for years. We're just refusing to touch those bottom layers. It's where the sludge is. That's where the garbage is. And we have to get down in there just like a plumber does with a plumber's snake, that thing that brings up all the stuff. We've got to get in there and get the stuff out. And it's putrid. It is not healthy. And so there's a seepage of this nastiness that keeps coming up to the surface through the emotions, through the mental illness that we're having, just rampant mental illness in our physical condition. Therefore, spiritually, we are not centered. So somebody has to be brave enough to go down in there and pull it up. Then you have to face whatever it is.
What I see,
You gotta
sis,
face. Yeah.
what I see, Queen, they're not ready. They're still trying to prove to us they're alpha and high value men. They're not ready.
Yeah. And what's that all about? It's the others who came up with those terms and fed it to our men. You know, this is what I mean about the world of men. They're still trying to compete in the world of men. I don't care if you alpha, beta, gamma, from the Delta Quadrant out there with Star Trek. You know, it doesn't matter. You know, it's like, please don't push me because I'm close to the edge. I'm trying not to lose my head. It's like a jungle out there. Sometimes I wonder how I keep from going under. And they have to understand that. And that the female is breakable in certain parts of herself. And this is what we're seeing in our young girls. This is what we're seeing in our older and middle-aged women, the parts that are broken. But there are parts that are unbreakable. Those are the great divine and sacred places that cannot be moved, cannot be messed with. They simply are, because they come from the origin. And that's what, in order to get back to that, we got to go through the dirty. We have to do it. We have to do it, or we're going nowhere. Yeah, I mean, we can have 1,001 fabulous militias. And bless his soul, our beloved who's going to court soon. Bless his soul, who had the courage to stand in the face of all this madness. And you see how the men came at him? You see it? And the men came at him. And it's his support is from the strength, the stamina, the bravery, the courage of the women.
And it's even crazier when a man has more protection because they protect men more than they do women. That's like I told my son, and not to mind you, I was a little boy. I forgot, but he's a teenager, but he's getting up there. I said, I know you're gonna be with your friends or whatever. I said, but you never sleep. I said, never pay for, never pay for the VJ and never go with their lady of the night. So he was like, why? I said, because you's a man. So he was trying to figure out what I was saying. But I said, let me explain something to you. You a man, it's not your job to put money in another man's pocket. Because that's where the money, that's where your job is not to take care of another grown man. If you want to be with a woman, you could be with a woman all you want. But you see that car he got? He didn't work for it. You worked for your money. He didn't work for it and got the fancy cars, fancy clothes, and guess who paid for it? Don't you ever take care of another lazy man. Let them get out there. So then he started to understand. I told my boy, I told all my kids this at the thing. I said, you don't pay for it. I said, if you want something from a female, that's different. But you thinking you're getting that female, but in reality, you're taking care of a lazy grown man who don't do nothing but abuse the woman, sit up there and collect money. That's all he do is collect money. Go to collect money all day. Don't you ever, not the it is disrespectful and everything else, but you can't control what they do. But I said, don't you ever be a man and take care of the next man. And that's what I find a lot that's going on with these mansfield. You got a lot of these men, the minute they start talking about women and pimping and all this other type of stuff, they get
And
nothing.
that's what, and that's what gangs are all about. Gangs, the protection of males.
And they get so much money.
Yes.
Like, you go to one of these men, men will send them $20, $100, $200. Now you got people who talk about real stuff. We got to check out our cash. You check out our cash app. Check that a minute. You know, I wanted to downgrade men, but that's not my purpose. Downgrade men. We're just speaking upon education right now. We're not down. We're speaking upon education because I can't downgrade my son or my nephew. So we're just educating, speaking upon it in educational type of sense or educational purposes. But if you go into the room, something about going, I see how much money they make just to talk about a black woman. I said, oh my gosh, men still take that's still prostitution.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
Because the woman is in the middle of it, but the man get all the money.
You know, I think probably when we reach the point as females that we are not so needy that we accept anything and everything simply to have the semblance of a relationship. Because we do have a softness, which is natural and authentic for us. And it's for the balance of our race. And they appeal to that. And it turns into a desperation and a neediness. Then it is used and abused until we're completely drained and have no substance, you know, dried out, dying early, overeating, all kinds of stuff, looking for love in all the wrong places, because we still need to have them with and near and by us because we created them. They are ours. They belong to us. And there's an absence. Yes, there's a hateful absence. Right. And when they come to us, they're not coming the right way. They were not created to act this way in the world. And that's where all the problems are. So unless we, as you're doing on this, boy, this is, wow, this one is really a piece of work, this particular program. I had no idea you were going to, you know, open tonight, open chat like this. And I'm so glad that I just, you know, had the courage to just come on in. Yeah, it needs to be said. I salute you, my sister queen. It needs to be said. Somebody has to have the courage to put this before the people. We're probably both going to catch hell. You know what I mean?
I don't. Well, I don't know how I'm gonna catch it. What you gonna do? And we're gonna go to front. What you gonna bust me with a capital letter? What is giving with a bust me with a capital letter? You gonna write all in capitals? See, we speaking upon
by simply going into comments, even comments like yours. You know, I come in pretty gentle in the chat. You know, my comments: shalom, peace and love, peace and love. I've gotten some replies from some people as I, you know, go to different channels of people that I like. I've gotten some replies from people who chase me from one channel to another with some really hateful, vicious stuff. Because I dare to speak some kind of truth. Woo, my goodness, you know. I mean, following me around, just slamming me. I said, you know, these people are crazy. Does this man have something to do, a job? No, this is a lockdown, so I guess they're not working. They're getting super vicious now.
Yeah. My mom's here don't play. My mom's in here don't. They got trigger fingers, honey. My mom's got trigger fingers, and we never once did we disrespect anybody. See, I'm not in it to disrespect black men. I'm not gonna have a black son, and I have nephews. So if they want to. I didn't come up with the list like I'm going to probably talk about, not tomorrow. I have something else planned for tomorrow. Maybe the following day. They got 10 reasons why not to date a single woman. They got reasons why not to date us. And then, when you want to see, as we go, you're going to see the level of disrespect. The level of disrespect. Now, one thing I'm not going to do is disrespect the black man, but I am going to speak facts. And that's what we're doing. We're speaking facts. You didn't disrespect one man, so if you want to come after us, there's something wrong with you.
Yeah.
Because we didn't say
we're bringing receipts. We're not just as they used to say, fat mouthing like a bunch of women, just sitting around talking about stupid stuff. We're bringing receipts. Anything you said or I said, they can just, like I said, get on your device and go to whatever that thing is, Google or whatever, and get information. At least you will get something. But we're not just talking out of the sides of our mouths just to be talking, just to have a female hen party. We're talking about medicine for our people, healing, a psychological healing for our people. We're daring to go into the dirtiest of the water, you know, through the, when Achilles had to go through the river Styx in order to get to where it was safe. He had to go through some treacherous stuff and even caught something in his heel coming through the river Styx.
Break the Achilles.
Right. We have to run the gauntlet in order to get to the truth. And you can see the punches and the language and the stuff and the eye rolling coming out all over the place. Like the situation with recently, I think it was probably several weeks ago or a month or so ago, with a woman getting beaten down. I believe it was New York City because she refused some overtures by some man. And you beat a woman down and destroy her because she said no to you. We're not property.
And
we
then
are gift.
And people
we are a treasure, a gift.
But you don't see no videos of no man speaking up for her. Now we're not going to put a disclaimer in here. We're not saying that all women are good. We're not saying that. We're not saying all mothers are the best mothers and we don't hurt our kids, and because of the hatred of the father and the being the bitter, or you want
there's some serious issues with women. I mean, really nasty stuff. Yeah.
Well, we're going to talk about that too in upcoming shows. But being that
I know you have to take it in segments. There's no way. This is so huge and so deep. It cannot be covered in a conversation, in a session, not even in a volume. If you had remember the old encyclopedias? It can't even be covered in that much space, volumes. Right. This is deep, but there is a starting place, is to unearth what is underneath the facades that we walk in. Michael Jackson said, it's time to look at the man in the mirror.
That's my favorite ever. I'm going to play that. I'm going to play that song.
Yeah, it's time. And unless you go there, there's nothing you can say about all the rest of this stuff. And the answer isn't in somebody else's women, because they are not going to correct you, because they don't know what it is you're supposed to be doing.
What they're going to do is they're going to make sure they get what you call that? They're going to, I forgot, but they're going to get their interest off you when you make bigger money and divorce you, or wait till you keep the money, and the money goes back. That money now transfers right back to the Caucasians.
There you go. And drain that melanin adrenochrome energy.
And then make sure their biracial children are only around Caucasian kids. So
that's right.
They can bring it right back right.
And taught what they want them to know only, thereby continuing the destruction So it's time. So unless we get to the nitty gritty, the down and dirty, we cannot get the rest of it done. So for all those people asking the same stupid question, why can't we get along? Well, truth is the problem. It's time to face some real hard truth, however painful it is. And the thing is, we're not going anywhere, Black females. We're not going anywhere. We were the first and we're going to be here. There's no end to what it is we're going to do on this planet. You leave this particular form, this body, there are others to be had if you want to come back here. But we return to the source. We're not going anywhere. So when they're ready, we're ready. But meanwhile, the foolishness has to stop. The stupidity has to stop. You know, what's the matter with, what's the matter with her? You are.
Let me ask you a question. Now,
you're the matter with me. Yeah.
Somebody mad at me, right? Somebody always mad at me. My goodness. But
yeah.
But they was like with the mixed kids. So somebody was talking about, you know, they need to learn their Black history and all this other type of stuff. I said they got history. I forgot what it was and what conversation it was about. And they was talking about the Black history. And I'm like, well, hold up. It's equal opportunity here. If you're going to teach them about the Black, you need to teach them about their white history too.
You have to do that.
You
yes.
Don't
you have to do that.
Teach them about they got being that you decided to have a mixed child, they got two histories.
Yes, they do.
They need to know the real their ancestors, your ancestors' real history too.
And you said the key word, they need to know that. It is an absolute necessity. You know, otherwise you've got another imbalance going on. And you're putting out here some more folks to just muddy the waters. I hear so much coming from a lot of the mixed race people, and I you know, we all know a whole bunch of them, how they can't figure out what they're supposed to do or supposed to be. They're caught between two worlds. And most of these I'm speaking of are brown skin. Mm-hmm. They're not even, their Caucasian ness is not even showing in their physicalities, but it's in them. And they're protecting something they can't even see in the mirror. And they're torn and ripped to shreds. You've got some folks on these platforms, on these channels, who are struggling with that and who make it known almost every program, who they are, what they are. And you can see how angry they are with the Black portion of themselves, that they couldn't come all the way white. They're angry.
They need to find out the other side too.
They got to. They have to.
What the conversation?
Stop editing out the real stuff. You know,
I said,
stop. Yeah.
If you're gonna talk about one, let's talk about the other one too. Why?
You got to talk about the other, and you can't make nice. You know, that other side of you can't be made nice. You got to come on and tell the truth. Exactly. And if the truth hurts, then it hurts. But we need to get it on out in the open, because there's so many of them that that not only deserve the truth, but an opportunity to live in a natural, authentic way, embracing whatever they want to embrace and not subjugating anybody. Because they end up playing in the game, playing into the game, and becoming the game against us. So there's oh my Lord, there's a lot of stuff there. I have some grandchildren living in a foreign country. I won't mention the country or names of the children, but the wife is Caucasian, and my son, of course, is black as the ace of spades, like a young Sidney Poitier, gorgeous. And in the country he's living in and has been for 35 years or so, there are few who look like him. That's a small population who look like him. The city he's in, even fewer, like a handful in the city. And the now has 2 teenage children. I have never seen them. And it's only in the last couple of years I've seen a photograph of them. The wife has not allowed me to see the children, to speak to them, to write to them, they're all on their little devices, computers and WhatsApps and this and that. She will not permit it. Not even a voice, not even my mother, their grandmother, their great-grandmother. I'm the grandmother, the great-grandmother, and she's still alive and weeping deep tears from slavery that she cannot see those children. She said, I don't want to pass from this earth without seeing those children. What's the matter with her? I said, no, let's take it off of Miss Karen. What's the matter with him? What's the matter with him that he has allowed that in his household to decide what happens to his seed? When he came through an incredibly beautiful, creative, and cultured household where we honored and appreciated ourselves and our ancestors. Have you lost your mind? I would say yes. I would say yes. Now, recent past few years, I'm hearing from him again. Now it's like every 2-3 days, Ma. And now it's, I'd like to bring the kids to visit you. Look at that. He's got to get her permission. He's got to get her permission. She's terrified that they will, and here we go back to the point that you made about there's a need for them to know that other side. She's terrified that they will find out what her side is all about.
Yep.
That's what she's terrified. Right.
Told you.
Not that they're going to find out how black they are. Right.
She wants
they're
to
going
make
to find
sure they don't
there you
bring
go.
nobody else black home because you gotta,
hello.
you gotta,
They're raised in a total white environment.
what they need in us to be passed down is our melanin. They want to be able to stand in that sun. That's how we move forward. Well, that's another story. I ain't even gonna say that. But they need our melanin. So even though we're gonna whiten it back out, but we got melanin DNA to pass down to our kids.
It is what powers the universe. Melanin. That's the gas. That's the power. That's the fuel. That's the fuel. And all of that connected with the third eye, with the gland in the third eye, all of that connected that keeps us centered and anchored to this earth to do and able to open and receive divine transmissions, that melanin. And it's in every living thing that lives on this earth. The trees, the grass, all of that, chlorophyll, melanin, that's who we are. We're for the growth and the prosperity of this planet. And the female has more of it than anybody, the black female. Yeah, so they can get a whole bunch of it from the males. They can get a whole bunch of it from them. And that adrenochrome, that energy that's given off through melanated people is much stronger than it is in other people. So we have there's been a lot of parasitical and vampire action on us, sucking away of our energies, draining us away through all kinds of distractions. We have a problem. There's a big problem here, like I said, deeper, much deeper than just a racial issue. And it goes back more than any 500 years. This is thousands of years of invasions of melanin people and their kingdoms, their culture, our religious practices are everything. And everything that we have taken out and away from us that has any kind of significance and all stuck up in somebody's museum somewhere behind glass,
If you catch, make sure you catch the rerun from yesterday. Catch the replay. Watch the replay from yesterday.
Oh, I will. You're
gonna love it. You're gonna love it. Every day. And tomorrow we're gonna do another good one.
Yeah. because I noticed that you put out a few pieces a day. I said, man, does this woman ever sleep?
But what happened is that I got the blues because there's no sun giving me my vitamin D. So I've been home, it's cold, it's snowing everywhere. And then with the Rona, I just been in the house. So you guys are my company.
Yeah, well, you're producing. I'll tell you that. You're using that time in a beautiful, creative way. Yes, bringing information to the people, breaking stuff down. Yeah.
So I have to get my 1,000 subscribers.
Right.
So but I use Nature Boy because I talk a lot about narcissism. And he
oh my Lord. Oh my, that is a perfect example. He's like an archetype of narcissism. Sometimes I can't help. I'm either laughing or kvetching. You know that word when I tune in and you've got Nature Boy on. I'm telling you, and what's in your chats? These people are hysterical. You got some funny people that come in there. I have later on in the evening or the next day, and one of these lines come to me. I saw in the chat, girl, I'm all over. I'm real crazy like that. I will get down on the floor and roll around a little bit if it's that funny. Some of these are hysterical. The kitchen curtain, the granny's curtain thing got me. That really got me. Oh, with the eagle feather. Oh, girl, that one got me because I knew somebody in New York City years ago. We used to call him Punjab, who put a similar kitchen curtain, and I actually had one in my house. And I asked him one day, brother, is that a curtain? He said, nah, ain't no curtain. I said, yes, it is. You know, took your wife's curtain down from the window. You better not go home. Well, when you get home, take it off and snatch it off and stick it back up on the window. But yes, that one had me because I know that I could visualize it. I've seen that. And the eagle feather thing, girl, that got me. And mess with an eagle and eat the eagle and then wear the feather. Lord have mercy. What has happened to us? What has happened to us? I mean, and that boy was proudly wearing his little gear and so on. And I thought at first, should you feel sorry for him? Then I thought, no, he's as arrogant as they come. There's something that talks about the 3 fallen demons or fallen angels: false pride, arrogance, and greed. I think he's got every one of them covered. False pride, arrogance, and greed. My Lord.
7 of the deadly sins and then some.
Yeah. But those programs are hysterical. They're full of information. They're great examination, great analytical stuff there. And they can't worm their way out of it. They can't weasel their way out of it because I see you come with receipts. I can see that. The research is beautiful. And I'm listening because I'm learning so much from that. But betwixt and between, I'm watching the chat because I know they're gonna crack me up. Those women are outrageous. I don't see too many men coming in on these chats when you have women coming in who are that strong in voice, and you can tell the strength of their voice by what they write, and their resolve. That's a little bit scary to the men. So if they do come and they say something real nice and
once
kind,
getting into the men and speaking facts, they're gonna come. I want to show you the Kevin Samuels and stuff that's going on, and he got so many other mental gonas. I know I'm saying it wrong, but I'm not Spanish, so I got the right to say the word incorrect. On his gonas, huevo. So, you know what I'm talking? And I'm like, I've never seen a bunch of men. I'm like, don't y'all got some kids to protect or something? Y'all worried about the slightest thing somebody say about this man?
Hey, could you believe that?
Who can talk for him? My thing is, everybody I don't know everybody, but majority of the people that's taking up for him is the ones who is like, in reality, they are the wussies, and he's the one talking them, so they became keyboard thugs. And they talk about
yeah.
keyboard and stuff like that. So he's like their God, and I'm like, that's one thing I don't do. I don't cape for nobody like that.
Yeah.
Like, if we need help, that's one thing. But for every time a woman or somebody got something to say about him, I go attack her. I'm like, these are a bunch of men attacking women. And then y'all make me laugh because every time you go outside of your race, not to mind you, I believe in love. Let me just put that disclaimer out there. I believe in love. You love who you love.
Oh, yes.
But why we must be on your mind so much. You can't even love her correctly. How can you truly love a Caucasian woman when our names stay in your mouth?
Yes.
You can't possibly love her fully if I only date Caucasian women. Or see, these women is submissive, and these women know how to act. Then why are you comparing them to us if you love her? If you love her, our name should not be in your mouth at all. There should be no comparison in love. Well, they knows how to act. Now I'm talking funny now. They knows how to act, and they cooking. They listen to their men now.
Right. Meaning they let me get away with any old kind of mess. Don't correct me. It doesn't matter as long as I bring home the whatever.
I think us black women is still in your mind. You can't put us on your mind now, could you? You can call us thoughts. You can call us destroying. You can say whatever you want, but we still on your mind.
Oh, forever.
That you done over, and then I have been to meetings where some black men was in the meetings and they wouldn't even say hello to me.
Ooh,
and they be
I know that one. I know that one. Yeah, I've had some of those meetings, Tony, where they all looked the other direction when I came in and were praying that I didn't open my mouth. You know, didn't want to hear it. And you know, and the others, the other guys, they were glad I walked in because wow, here comes some sunshine, here comes nourishment. You know, I don't even know what to call it at this point, but the Caucasian guys who would happen to be in the room, you could see the light go on there, the glimmer of hope that perhaps she'll grace me with a smile. And meanwhile, the brothers are looking in the opposite direction like, I hope this girl say what she got to say and get on up out of here, you know, embarrassing people. But that's all right. They can't get us off their mind because they are the mind rather that we created. Their mind resides in the vessel that we gave them. Everything, I got thrown out of a holistic place once where I was speaking. In fact, I had to have a couple of bodyguards help me to sneak out through the back way because I dared to say, somebody got up and asked me, someone of one of those strict religions, how dare you open your mouth and speak in here like you're a man and you have a right to speak to men? And I said, excuse me, I'm female 100%. And every single solitary one of you males on this planet, brothers or otherwise, came here through a female. There's nothing walking on this earth that came here without coming through the sacred doorway that is the female. And if you came, and you know this is medically true, feet first, they call it breech. They had to turn you around and you come through my genitalia, head, face first, where you are anointed in your third eye. I won't say the word by the you know what before you can enter this sacred place we call earth. You must face first. You've got to come through there. That is the gate That is the stargate. That is the opening. That is Elegua in Africa, the guardian of the sacred pathways. You must come through there before you walk on this earth. You, Jesus, Moses, Muhammad, Buddha, all of them. Not a man has never brought a single soul to walk on this earth through his body.
And then they claim, well, we the seed. Well, we could have tripped and fell too, you know. Watch out. They had doctors back in the wood days, okay?
That's right. That's why we're on their mind. That's why we're on their mind, Sugar. We're on their mind because that's where, hey, they came from ours. But it's okay. We're gonna bring them home. That much we know. It's gonna take a whole lot for us to do that. So we need to stay very healthy, very centered, continue to talk to each other. We females continue to allow the stuff to come up from the bottom and not get so overwhelmed when we see how nasty and ugly it is, not get overpowered by the stuff that they, because there's an aggressiveness that's pushed off on you when you're too authentic in your natural self. We have to just stay centered enough to just move that stuff aside. It's just energy. It's just energy. And not put ourselves in it. Yeah, go ahead, honey.
Like they call these fake coaches, or they call the women bashers, trying to get at them. I'm like, first of all, you're there the main, because everybody there is a man, or you got a woman who, for some reason in her life, yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're right. No, you do think for yourself. No, they're not right. Just because, see, people got the problem of taking their personal problems, or maybe their sister personal problems, and when they hear stuff, they take it like, instead of saying this has nothing to do with me, this is their issue, they like, yeah, that woman ain't no good. I know. How you know that person really is no good?
Right.
They got a problem of internalizing other people's issues when you shouldn't. You shouldn't internalize it, because it's not you. It's them. It's their story. And you put yourself on mute. Unmute yourself. Unmute yourself. Unmute yourself. Unmute yourself. You got it? You unmute, sis. Mother Queen.
I see. Is that it? Am I back on?
You back on. You mute yourself.
Okay. Look at that. You know what I did? I put the charger on because I saw something come up that said I was down to 15%. But someone helped me out with that once about not taking on anybody else's story. They said your personal strength is drained, and you're scattered all over the place. You can't seem to muster the energy to take care of your business because your energy is being drained off on everybody else's story. What's yours is yours, and what's theirs is theirs. Let them have it. Anything is sent your way, simply say return to sender and let it go.
That's like you have they be like, oh, women this, and they only want child support. First of all, you don't even know if that man is really paying child support. Just because you are, that don't mean he is. You can't think what you went through, that's what that man is identical. Or women is this, women is that, because the next man was you in a relationship? Well, I know, speak upon yourself, but you can't speak upon the other person. Just like when people watch like the Nature Boy or the Velvets, and they got sympathy for her, and I'm like, no, she just as evil as him. But what they do is they see what they see is, instead of seeing her for how how she truly is, what they see is violence, domestic violence, abuse. That's you. That's your life.
Yeah.
That's not her. She
Right.
is just him. But you're feeling sorry for
Right.
somebody because you internalized it for whatever you went through. You gotta, I mean, even lawyers and stuff, you gotta learn how to separate your whatever happened
Yes.
to you, or yourself, and see what's presented to you with a different set of eyes. You watching it from your eyes.
Right.
That's why you got a lot of these men
Right.
sticking together. And how you know
Yeah,
that
exactly.
man is narcissistic? How you know that man is a good man? Like somebody compared themselves yesterday. Nature Boy, well, I hate when women use their baby as pawns. Well, that's why whoa. I said, first of all, you and Nature Boy is two different people. Would you want Nature Boy to keep your child? So yeah, because you took your kids, well, good for you. Soon as we was watching something with COVID, well, oh no, you can't compare yourself to no other man. You don't know how they are. Oh yeah, you right. So don't make statements like that.
That's right.
But it's the interview we're gonna do tomorrow.
Right.
You probably seen it before, but we're gonna dissect
Yes.
it. The interview we're gonna be watching tomorrow is an interview with James Baldwin and Nikki Giovanni. Have you ever seen the full interview?
Right. It's been quite a system.
Huh?
Yeah. Yeah. Repeat that for me, Tony.
I said the interview that we're gonna watch tomorrow. Tomorrow is going to be the interview of James Baldwin and Nikki Giovanni.
Oh, you know, that's from my time. That's my era. Oh my God.
That's what we're gonna watch the full interview tomorrow, and we're gonna dissect. So I knew you were familiar, but that's on tomorrow's agenda.
Oh, I'm excited because I met both of them and I knew them in my circles. I ran in those circles at that time. This is very interesting. Okay. And they're two of my absolute favorites.
So we're gonna their full interview. You're gonna be my co-host. I love co-hosts. I love to have co-hosts. I love sitting up here with them. So we're gonna watch some because you got commentary on it. Just in case you get a strike, you can say I'm doing commentary.
Okay.
I talk on my video anyway, but we're gonna watch some, break it down, watch some, break it down, watch some, break it down. So we're gonna
sounds terrific.
We're gonna start 26.
This is a beautiful, it's a beautiful salute to Black History Month to see this type of thing going on these channels. This is really, really good. I sure thank you for an invitation to come up and chat with you tonight. I really, really do. Yeah.
And you make sure you still got your chat ready for tomorrow.
Oh yeah. And we're still talking about around 7. Is that it? Do I have it correct?
Between 6:30 and 7, depends on how bored I get, right? But I'll set stuff up around 6:30. But 7 o'clock, I'll definitely be on by 7. So right around 7, 6:55, 6:57.
Okay.
Even though if I come on early,
so I'll just be surfing.
It wouldn't be if I come on earlier that morning.
What was that?
If I come on earlier in the morning, it's not going to be about the topic. That probably be I got some tea on Nature Boys. I want to spill that tea. The topic is going to be in the evening. So if you see me coming on early, you can come. That's not what the topic is going to be. But I'm not going to just make it a history thing. I'm going to just keep doing more videos like this.
Okay.
Because this is not a Nature Boys channel. This is a learning channel, a healing channel. And it's about real.
This is a whole different type. Yeah, this is a different type of forum altogether. Yeah.
And what Soldier said, we thank you for your knowledge and wisdom, Black Star. Yes, we do. It was phenomenal. I was,
because I can't. Yeah, as I'm talking to you, I can't see the chat. Who knows with this raggedy little phone I have, but I can't see the chat while I'm talking, so I have no idea what the response is to us coming on this way. But I can look at that a little later on. Once it's and my phone is fully charged, I'm going to go back and look at this as a repeat. I'd like to see what your folks thought. How we did with this. If we answered some questions for some folks out there, gave information or educated or whatever it is. I know you have a purpose and an aim before you go into these things. I realized how organized you were. I had no idea that you were a teacher. Now I see, where a whole lot of this organization comes from. So
I'm not a teacher. I just do humanitarian work. That's all I do. I do what people tell me to do.
Yeah, I hear that, but I'm picking you up as a teacher, as an educator. I'm really picking up that energy. It's even with Nature Boy, there's a whole lot of, wow, you lay down the kitchen table teaching that I like to call it. And it's a good thing because they need that too. Of females, they're dragging through with them. They need to hear this from a female, a Black female who's aware, alert, and who doesn't back down from their foolishness, and who comes, like I said, with receipts. This is good for them too. This is very good for them. There's quite a purging I saw yesterday with one of Nature Boy's women, purging. I mean, I witnessed something. I don't know exactly what it was, but I was a witness to a lot of stuff that came up and came out, So and you were able to hit it.
He changed up now. Now he in his Google. He got his Google personality now. So he's trying to get people now to accept the same way the devil gave you gifts and stuff, to accept. So that's what he's up to now. I probably should do that tomorrow. But when I say something not nice, when I say something about hateful, how do you feel about that? Because now he's trying to change dynamics because we keeping that foot on his neck. And other bigger channels are starting to pick it up now. Keeping that foot on his neck. But what the bigger channels don't understand is they don't know who Nature Boy is. So now they're going to go fly over there to see who Nature Boy is. So we bring him people anyway.
I love it. I love it. I love it.
Day one. Foot Soldiers, literally my day one Foot Soldiers since I first got to. That's my sister.
Right. And I love the name. I love that name. Yeah, I absolutely love that name. Yeah, Foot Soldier. All right.
And then K Money and Miss Rod, they all day one. But I kept you guys long enough. I appreciate you. I already let you know what tomorrow's topic is going to be. So you can getting your thoughts together, or you may want to pre-watch it. So when we watch it again, or you just want to be just as surprised as me, because I've never heard the full interview. I always saw pieces of that particular interview, but I never seen the full interview. So I'm going to be just, I'm going to be watching certain parts I saw. Certain parts will be just shocking. But we will be talking about James Baldwin
and Nikki Giovanni.
Nikki Giovanni.
Woo, girl, those were the days. They were the days. Oh my goodness.
Ever see the one? He was in England, and they had a jury on him.
Yes.
Oh, this is what I'm saying today. Oh my goodness.
He traveled quite a bit in Europe, and he was very outspoken. He was solid as far as his understanding of what is happening to us and what had happened to us, the reasons and the purposes for destroying us in the way that we were at the time when he was alive. He was a very deep man. I used to go to some gatherings at his little brownstone over in Harlem. He was deep, and he was solid in his belief and his love of his people. Whatever persuasions that he was dealing with out there in the world, he was solid to the core, a Black man.
Yes,
that much I know.
Did you see the one?
Yeah.
Did you see he dealt with Malcolm X?
He was treated like garbage so much in the United States. You know, this is why they all ran off to Europe. But there he ran into another version of this man's stuff, you know?
Yeah,
so
I got that. But did you see the one that, I don't know, was it a debate or conversation that Baldwin did with Malcolm X?
Oh, no. You know what?
I got that too, girl. You're gonna have to get ready. Every night I'm gonna have you just get ready.
Oh, I'm gonna catch up on some of this stuff this evening. You know, I'm gonna pull some of his stuff out this evening and just do a review. Beautiful face, by the way. I have in the works. I haven't finished it. It's in New York. In my son's attic, I had begun to do a piece of soft sculpture of him because of the face. For an artist like me, his face is incredibly beautiful. It shows so much more than the cute little faces. There's a lot in that face. He's got a lot of history. He was like a living, breathing piece of onyx sculpture, ebony sculpture. Each time I saw him, I examined his face, and he would pop those eyes open, like, what the hell is she looking at? I was looking at the lines that spoke to me in his face, the shape of the eyes and his expressions and so on. So it's just to capture that in my work, soft sculpture. That's personality is unbelievable. And when you're working on a piece like that, it speaks to you. He speaks through the artwork. That's how powerful a form he had, you know? So I would be delighted. This would be just a pleasure for me to come in and sit with you for a little while with that. Yeah.
The following night, because this one is going to be an hour and a half for tomorrow.
Hour and a half. Okay, I better get ready. Get my alkaline water. Right. And get ready to get. You notice how GMJ always had that bottle? Girl, they used to make me so mad. Yeah, the morning minerals and that business at night. And every time he would get into something I really wanted to hear, the boy pick up the bottle and start guzzling. I said, Lord have mercy, boy, put the bottle down. You know, talking to my telephone screen. But so I'm gonna have the alkaline water and all that other stuff and get my eating done and all meal done and whatever needs to be done so I can be in a peaceful frame of mind, you know, and sharp and ready to really roll with this. And now that I've been able to come on with you this time, I can pick up the rhythm of, you know, how to work with you with this. Thank you so much, Tony. What a pleasure. What a pleasure, my sister. grateful and humbled by being allowed this much time and freedom to speak on stuff, so the subject so deep, and get down to the painful stuff as well as the cutesy stuff, you know. We're not allowed that too often on anybody's channels because we have to be so careful, you know, about being monitored and so on. I tried to self-monitor. I hope I didn't say anything that would be untoward, you know, for anybody. Only trying to give it the best shot, you know, and give information and be solid in truthfulness, you know. No need to try to put the people on. We've been put on enough. You know, we've been lied to enough. We've been played with enough. And I know I'm much too old and you're much too smart to get on here and play with people, you know? So yeah, I appreciate that. I truly appreciate it.
And I just overly appreciate it. I appreciate you even more for taking your time out to even come up here and even speak.
Oh, that's okay.
You like on here? I'm like, for
that's okay. With the lockdown, honey, we have nothing but time.
Chat appreciate you. I chat said for so to say good night. But this will be the end. Tomorrow, y'all know what the subject is going to be tomorrow night. We don't know if it's going to be a tomorrow morning. Because if I'm bored, I'm coming on. But y'all know what the subject is going to be tomorrow night.
Right, absolutely. Absolutely. And I will be prepared. How fabulous. And whoever is in the chat wasn't able to see you, but shalom to everybody. Thank you so much for having me in your house. This is your family, Tony, and your chat. So I thank your family for having me in. I run into them at other kitchen tables occasion here and there, and always glad to see him. Looks like we do round robins. We just run in and out of each other's houses.
But that's how it's supposed to be.
Isn't it beautiful? That's
we are always we are supposed to, if nobody else, we supposed to
love. So I think we made a contribution today to Black history. I really appreciate it. So thank you, everybody in the chat, and my salute you.
Well, we thank you, Black Star, for coming in, and we shall see you tomorrow. I thank you all for being here. We're gonna still do some Chief Cupcake, but tomorrow night we're gonna stay on topics. I shall see you tomorrow, Lord's willing. Y'all have a good night. Peace out. And thank you again, Black Star. We appreciate you.